Chapter 412. Hee, third senior brother, I won't be fooled by you this time. Xia Ho put her hands behind her back and clasped her fingers together. She said proudly, if he's skilled in swordsmanship, why didn't he bring a sword? Also, look at the calluses on his fingers and joints. It's obvious that he practices fist techniques. Your junior sister is quite smart. Li Fan could not help but praise, little girl, you have potential. Practice your swordsmanship well and strive to be a master when you grow up. Go away, who's a little girl? Xia Ho was immediately unhappy, I'm already 18 years old this year. Li Fan was indeed stunned for a moment. He carefully looked at the petite Xia Yi. He could not imagine that this girl was actually 18 years old. However, if he looked carefully, her cup size did not seem small. Li Fan thought that she had gone through puberty in advance. He did not expect that it was just that she did not grow taller. What are you waiting for? Call me senior sister. Xia Ho looked as if she wanted to tease Li Fan, which made Li Fan laugh. Okay. Senior sister Xia, please guide me. Li Fan cupped his hands at this little girl who was 2 heads shorter than him and respectfully called her senior sister. Xia Ho was so happy that she burst into laughter. Third senior brother, look. I'm not the youngest now. Xia Ho clapped her hands happily, which made Qin Junhua laugh. Okay. You're the best. Go practice your swordsmanship. I'm going to bring Brother Li to see the sect leader. I want to go too. Xia Ho seemed to like to join in the fun and insisted on coming along. Chen Junhua didn't seem to be able to do anything about his little junior sister, so he could only let her follow him like a shadow. Li Fan admired the magnificent Huashan sect along the way. Especially under the cover of snow, the scenery of the Huashan sect was even more beautiful. It was a beautiful sight to behold. Along the way, Xia Ho was like a curious baby and kept asking Li Fan questions. Little junior brother, what fist technique are you practicing? 7 Heroes Fist. 7 Heroes Fist. What kind of fist technique is this? I've never heard of it before. You're not lying to me, are you? Humph, I'm your senior sister, you have to respect me. How could I dare to lie to senior sister? It is indeed the 7 Hero Fist. Your third senior brother can testify for me. Xia Ho looked at Qin Junhua, who hurriedly said. That's right, it's the fist of the 7 heroes. It's a fist technique created by Brother Li, that's right, it's self-created, so it's definitely not that powerful. But I'm interested in learning. How about this, you teach me fist techniques, and I teach you sword techniques. Then we'll be fair. Stop messing around. Chen Junhua hurriedly reminded Xia Ho, the Huashan sword technique is not taught to outsiders. If you want to teach it, you have to get permission from the sect leader. What's the rush? I only want to exchange the charming and gentle sword technique. Don't embarrass yourself with those sword techniques that you created yourself. Qin Junhua was speechless. Why? They're all self-created, it's not a loss to exchange them. Little senior sister is right. Let's spar and exchange insights. Li Fan's words made Xia Ho satisfied. That's more like it. I'll let you see the power of my sword techniques later. The 3 of them talked all the way to the Eastern Aura Hall where the sect leader was. The Eastern Aura Hall was the largest hall of the Huashan sect. There was a golden statue inside, which was the founder of the Huashan sect. It was revered by all the disciples of the sect for generations. The Huashan sect was also the largest sword sect in the pugilistic world. Without exception, all the disciples in the sect focused on practicing sword techniques. Not far behind the Eastern Aura Hall was the buried sword pool of the Huashan sect. Every generation of Huashan sect disciples would put their swords into the buried sword pool when they passed away or washed their hands of the sect. When a new disciple officially became the disciple of the sect, they could take a new sword from the buried sword pool. The sect leader of the Huashan sect, Tang Yao, was wearing a purple robe and sitting in the Eastern Aura Hall. Beside him was a familiar face. Disciple Chen Junhua greets the sect leader. Chen Junhua bowed to Tang Yao. Li Fan pretended not to see the familiar person beside him and bowed as well. I'm Li Fan. Greetings, sect leader Tang. Disciple Xia Ho greets the sect leader. Xia Ho, who was beside him, hurriedly shouted. Li Fan could feel that there were two fiery lights coming from the position of that acquaintance. Little Overlord Li Fan. Ha, a rare guest, a rare guest. Tang Yao was very polite. Previously, Yuanqing asked someone to tell me, and I thought he was joking. I didn't expect that I would really meet young hero Li. Oh right, young hero Li, this is the master of the Golden Eagle Castle, Yin Wuchao. I believe you two have met before. This fate is not shallow. Yin Wuchao clenched his fists, narrowed his eyes, and glanced at Li Fan. However, in front of Tang Yao, he couldn't act up. Yin Wuchao's hair was slightly white before, but in such a short period of time, his hair was completely white. It seemed like he had put in a lot of effort for his Golden Eagle Castle. Since young hero Li is here, have a good stroll around Mount Hua. Enjoy the scenery and feel refreshed. Of course. I've just entered Mount Hua and don't know the rules. If I offend sect leader Tang in the future, please forgive me. Good, good, good. Junhua, I still have some matters to discuss with Castle Master Yin. Take good care of young hero Li on my behalf. Don't neglect him. Yes, sect leader. Chen Junhua raised his hand. Sect leader, young hero Li's heart demon is heavy. I want to teach him our sect's purple aura from the east. I hope sect leader will approve. Oh, it's just a basic breathing technique. You decide. This Chen Junhua was an outstanding disciple of Mount Hua. Tang Yao obviously doted on him. He waved his hand. Go. Bring young hero Li around Mount Hua. Xia Ho, don't cause trouble. I'm not that mischievous. Xia Ho pouted unhappily. When they were about to leave, Yin Wuchao suddenly asked, Young hero Li, may I know which room you'll be staying in tonight? This old man hasn't seen you for a while and wants to catch up with you. Yin Wuchao, this old man, wants to catch up with me. He's probably looking for an opportunity to teach me a lesson. Li Fan wasn't angry. Instead, he said with a smile, Mount Hua is so big and beautiful. I plan to stroll around here for the next few days. Wherever I go, I'll sleep. Very good, very good. Hee hee. The corner of Yin Wuchao's mouth twitched. Since that's the case, I'll take my leave. Li Fan wanted to laugh, but he held it in and pretended to be open-minded. He turned around and left the hall with Chen Junhua and his junior sister. After leaving the hall, Li Fan could still faintly hear the conversation in the hall. Sect leader Tang, the devil's sect is arrogant. You should help me. Castle Master Yin. This Mount Hua secret room hasn't been opened for nearly 100 years. I'm afraid. Chapter 413. It was just a few words, and the rest could not be heard clearly. Li Fan could only guess that it was about a secret chamber or something. Does the Huashan sect also have a secret chamber? It would not be good to ask Chen Junhua this question. Brother Li, please take a look. This is our Mount Hua's burial sword pool. Chen Junhua pointed to a huge pool in front of him. Although it was a pool, there was no water in it, and the snow had been swept clean. There were all kinds of treasured swords, long and short, big and small. At first glance, it really looked like a treasure sword graveyard. My edgeless sword was found here. Chen Junhua seemed to be a little emotional. It feels like I did not choose it, but it chose me. That's right, my charming sword was also chosen here. Xia Ho also joined in the fun. My charming sword is much more beautiful than third senior brother's edgeless sword. As she spoke, Xia Ho pulled out her sword from the scabbard on her waist. Li Fan sized it up. This charming sword's blade was slender, and the cloud patterns on the blade were very exquisite. Under the sunlight, it glowed with a dazzling brilliance. It was indeed very beautiful. Don't pursue flashy things, Chen Junhua reminded his junior sister. It's enough as long as you have good looks. Xia Ho was very unconvinced and said, third senior brother is obviously jealous of me. You little girl. Chen Junhua felt helpless towards his junior sister, but Li Fan could not help but want to laugh. It was really interesting to have a junior sister. However, he did not belong to any sect, so it was impossible for him to have a legendary junior sister. Since we are already at the burial sword pool, why not brotherly choose a treasured sword that you like? Is this appropriate? Li Fan was a little surprised. No matter how many treasured swords the Huashan sect had, they could not be casually given away, right? It doesn't matter. Chen Junhua pointed to the treasured swords in the pool and said, as the saying goes, treasured swords are given to heroes. My Huashan sect has such a tradition since ancient times. In the burial sword pool of the Huashan sect, there are not only swords left behind by the seniors of Huashan, but also swordsmen and experts from outside. They can also bury their treasured swords in my burial sword lake. Similarly, the experts outside can also choose a sword that they like from the buried sword pool. However, as I said, it's not us who choose the sword, it's the sword that chooses us. Yeah, it's very difficult to choose a sword from the burial sword pool. Xia Ho also said, don't be happy just yet. When the time comes, you'll suffer. Alright then. Since you've said so, I'll give it a try. Li Fan rolled up his sleeves and walked into the burial sword pool. Suddenly, he felt a powerful pressure coming from the pool. They were clearly just some inanimate objects, so why did they give him such pressure? Li Fan felt a little strange. He had never felt this way before. In front of him were many treasured swords, all quietly inserted into the soil. But for some reason, Li Fan felt that these swords seemed to have come alive the moment he stepped in. All the treasured swords buzzed, as if something was passing between them. It also seemed like they were repelling Li Fan. Li Fan stretched out his hand to touch one of the treasured swords, but suddenly, a sword chi shot out from it and shot towards Li Fan. Dang! Li Fan used his crane hand to slap away the sword chi. The sword chi hit the treasured sword beside him, producing a crisp knocking sound, as if it was playing a somber tune. I see. Li Fan understood. This was probably the meaning of the so-called sword selection. Are you all so resistant to me? Li Fan looked at the constantly trembling treasured swords in surprise. Hee. That's why I said it's not that easy to get our Huashan sect's treasured swords. Li Fan did not insist and left the burial sword pool. It seems like I really don't have the talent to use a sword. Brother Li, you're too humble. Why don't you try again? Chen Junhua actually hoped that Li Fan would choose a sword and have a good spar with him. Forget it, I'm really not suitable to use a sword. You obviously can't. Xia Ho crossed her arms and said, this burial sword pool is not a place that anyone can come to. Third senior brother, you said that he was very powerful, but I think he's just a so-so. Alright, Xia Ho, go and practice your sword. Don't cause trouble here anymore. Chen Junhua urged Xia Ho to leave. Third senior brother, you're actually chasing me away. Don't you usually pamper me? Do you hate me? Xia Ho began to act coquettishly again. Li Fan said that when this petite girl acted coquettishly, Chen Junhua obviously couldn't stop her. I'm really afraid of you, Chen Junhua could only say, go stand at the side, I want to spar with brother Li, okay, but don't bully junior brother. Xia Ho hurriedly said, as if she was really protecting her junior brother. I'm bullying him, Chen Junhua was speechless, thinking to himself, it's already good enough that he doesn't bully me. Then should I use the 7 heroes fist to fight? Li Fan asked. No, I want to spar with brother Li in sword techniques. Chen Junhua hurriedly said. But I really don't know any sword techniques, it's not good to be too humble. How about this? Li Fan glanced at Xia Ho. Senior sister, why don't you teach me 2 moves of your charming sword technique now? Okay. But what's the use of learning it? Senior sister, teach it to me first. Li Fan didn't say it out loud and only requested. Sure, my charming sword technique is broad and profound. You have to watch carefully. If you don't understand it, you can ask me at any time. Xia Ho looked very serious. Watch carefully. Xia Ho was also bored, so she came up with a charming sword technique when she had nothing to do. When this charming sword technique was displayed, Li Fan could clearly see that it was mainly sticky and entangled. This move might not be enough to attack, but it was very good for defense. When this sword technique was displayed, it really had a lingering feeling. It was worthy of the word charming sword technique. However, it didn't have any attack power, so it was no wonder that Qin Junhua didn't like it. Have you seen it? Xia Ho seemed a little excited, and her face was a little red. I've only developed 1 move, that's enough. Li Fan stretched out his hand. Senior sister, can I borrow your sword? And, take it. Xia Ho wasn't stingy and handed the charming sword to Li Fan. Li Fan waved his long sword and pointed it at Qin Junhua. Little Hua, come on. Okay. Qin Junhua didn't know what Li Fan was up to, but he still carefully pulled out the big sword behind him. Although the big sword outside was just a scabbard, it was still very powerful when he used it. No one dared to underestimate it. You and I will only compete in sword techniques, regardless of internal energy. Li Fan said. Little Hua, use your sword. Chapter 4:14. Brotherly, watch my sword. Qin Junhua directly waved the sword in his hand and pierced towards Li Fan's eyebrows. Such a heavy sword, in his hands, was as if it was nothing. He aimed it straight at Li Fan's eyebrows, and his wrist did not even tremble. However, Li Fan's expression did not change as he stabbed out with his charming gentle sword. At the same time, the sword was shaken by him and wrapped around Qin Junhua's sword. Qin Junhua was shocked. His sword was like a clay ox entering the sea, making him unable to control it. Clang! Li Fan flicked his long sword and the edgeless sword in Qin Junhua's hand was directly sent flying. Qin Junhua was surprised as he stared at his palm for a long time. Xia Yi was even more surprised as she directly grabbed Li Fan's arm. Oh my god, did you just use the charming gentle sword? Yes, senior sister. Li Fan was currently using the ape-faced Buddha from his 7-hero fist, heaven and earth law embodiment. He had successfully learned the charming gentle sword, and he was able to draw inferences about other things from it, making the use of this move even more perfect. Even Qin Junhua was at a disadvantage under this move of his. Has little senior sister named this move? Li Fan asked. No, not yet. Since that's the case, why don't we call it charming gentle thorns? Alright. Xia Yi clapped her hands. Junior brother is really artistic, the name you came up with is very nice. This sword technique, how did you execute it? It's much more powerful than what I, senior sister, can do. Senior sister is just too concerned about the magnificence of this move. Li Fan explained, actually, when using this move, with a little more variation, you can easily break the opponent's sword technique. Li Fan's sword technique was not elegant, instead, it was full of unpredictability, making it hard to predict. Brotherly, watch my sword. Qin Junhua was somewhat unwilling as he waved his edgeless sword and swung it upwards. Li Fan used the same stance. With the charming thorns, he once again entangled Qin Junhua's greatsword and swung it. Clang! Once again, Qin Junhua's sword was sent flying. Qin Junhua was on the verge of breaking down. 2 moves in a row had actually been defeated by Li Fan using the moves of his junior sister that he looked down upon. The charming and gentle swordplay. Qin Junhua had always thought that it was a joke. However, he did not expect that Li Fan would use this sword technique to defeat him twice in a row. For a swordsman, his treasured sword was sent flying by someone else. This was truly despairing. Lil Hua, you don't need to be depressed. I only caught you off guard twice. Once you get used to it, I won't be your match anymore. I hope so. It's just that Brother Li's talent makes me a little depressed, don't mind me. In terms of talent in swordsmanship, you are much better than me. Li Fan told the truth, the reason I could think of this move was actually because of the help of my 7 gallant fists. A fist technique can strengthen a sword technique? Chen Junhua was in disbelief. However, Li Fan said, of course it can. The path of martial arts actually leads to the same goal. He spoke frankly with assurance, as long as you understand the true meaning within, you will naturally be able to connect to all. Although Li Fan's words were impressive, he actually had to rely on the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth to be able to display such superb imitation ability. However, his words affected Chen Junhua. This brother lowered his head and repeated Li Fan's words. Connect to all with one, connect to all with one, alright, alright. Go back and slowly comprehend it. Do you still want to compete? Li Fan held the charming and gentle sword and asked Chen Junhua. Yes. Chen Junhua nodded his head firmly. Following which, he raised his sword again and pointed it at Li Fan. Alright, let's do it. Li Fan also held the charming and gentle sword in his hand and felt the sword tremble slightly. The charming and gentle sword seemed to be excited. Why? Are you excited too? Li Fan looked at the charming and gentle sword in his hand. Excited for the long-awaited battle? Chen Junhua stepped forward and drew his sword. Li Fan immediately swung out the charming and gentle sword and wrapped it around Chen Junhua's sword. However, Chen Junhua lowered his sword's edge and an intense sword chi erupted from his sword. It was just like the sword chi from the Murong clan, and it shook off Li Fan's treasured sword. Li Fan was a little surprised. However, he turned his body and stabbed the charming and gentle sword towards Chen Junhua's vitals. However, Chen Junhua's long sword rapped and flicked, and he actually flicked Li Fan's charming and gentle sword away. What the fuck? Li Fan wanted to curse. This Chen Junhua's learning speed was a little too fast. He only said one sentence, connect to all with one, and this guy had easily learned his moves. He even learned some of the Murong clan's sword arts. This was really a pain in the ass. Yeah. Third senior martial brother also learned this move. Xia Ho clapped her hands excitedly and said enviously, senior martial brother learned so fast. It would be great if I could also learn this move. Boo-hoo, I can't accept this. I'm clearly the senior martial sister, but I actually can't grasp it as fast as junior martial brother. Xia Ho's unconvinced expression made Li Fan and Chen Junhua laugh at the same time. This junior sister of his was really frank and straightforward. It was because of her personality that the senior martial brothers of Mount Hua doted on her. It's getting late. Senior martial brother, we still have to attend the night class. Seeing that the two of them were eager to fight a few more rounds, Xia Ho glanced at the setting sun that disappeared into the mountain stream and reminded her third senior martial brother. Oh, I almost forgot. Chen Junhua was indeed a martial arts fanatic. After hearing his junior martial sister's reminder, he suddenly came to a realization, we still have to attend the night class, yeah, we still have to discuss tomorrow's sword conference. Oh. Chen Junhua seemed to have thought of something, it seems like it's almost time, senior martial brother, you've forgotten about this matter. Chen Junhua shifted his gaze to the side. Xia Ho said angrily, you really did forget. Third senior martial brother is so annoying. Other than sword practice, I can't remember anything else. Then, brotherly, let Xia Ho send you to my place to rest first. Chen Junhua said to Li Fan, rest for the night first. Tomorrow, let's go watch the sword conference together. Oh, okay. Chen Junhua rushed to the night class. Xia Yi sent Li Fan to his room. On the way, Li Fan could not help but ask. Xia Ho, what is the sword conference? Our Mount Hua sect is actually divided into many small sections. Xia Ho explained to Li Fan, some of them are also on Mount Hua. Some are at Mount Tai, Mount Heng, or other places to cultivate. But the biggest are the four great sects, Heavenly Sword Sect, Earth Sword Sect, Xianjian Sect, and Yellow Sword Sect. Our Heavenly Sword Sect has been winning the Sword Conference for 30 years. So, for the past 30 years, Heavenly Sword Sect has been in charge of Mount Hua. Then, the remaining sword sects will definitely have to work hard in this sword conference. Humph, they are all trash. How can they be compared with our Heavenly Sword Sect? Xia Ho said proudly, our Heavenly Sword Sect has Sect Master Tang Yao, the Lord of Western Mountain. Below him is my third senior martial brother, Qin Junhua, Edgeless Sword. When have we ever been afraid of anyone? Chapter 4:15. Xia Ho was quite confident in her own sword sect, and Li Fan had never seen the other three major sword sects, so he was not too sure about the situation. However, he could foresee that the sword conference tomorrow would be very lively. Xia Ho sent Li Fan to Qin Junhua's room. Qin Junhua was a popular person in Huashan, but the room he lived in was quite simple. It was just a small thatched hut with a simple bed and a small wooden table next to it. The floor was still plastered with cement, but it was clean. Li Fan sat down at the table, but Xia Ho did not leave. Instead, she sat on the bed. It's late, why aren't you leaving? Li Fan could not help but ask. Was this junior sister going to sleep with him? Ahem, he was thinking too much. Just now, third senior brother told me to teach junior brother the purple chi of Mount Hua. Xia Ho said, after all, there are only a few incantations. I'll pass it to you verbally, so you have to remember it. Verbally. Li Fan looked at Xia Ho's rosy lips and could not help but feel a little evil. Listen well, you must ask me if you can't remember anything. Xia Ho reminded him. Alright, I'll have to trouble you, senior sister. He did not know how magical the purple chi of the East was, but since Qin Junhua said it could effectively deal with inner demons, it should have some effect. As Li Fan listened to Xia Yi reciting the chant, he listened for a while longer. He adjusted his breathing according to the tips of the breathing technique. Indeed, he felt that his hearing and vision were much better, and even his heartbeat seemed to be calmer. This breathing technique was indeed useful, allowing Li Fan to adjust his state more smoothly. Li Fan felt that using this breathing technique at a critical moment was like giving himself a shot of tranquilizer. How is it? Is it effective? When Li Fan opened his eyes, he found Xia Ho standing in front of him. She bent down and pressed her hands on her knees, looking at his face from below with a face full of concern. Well, it's quite useful. The martial arts of Mount Hua are indeed extensive and profound. Li Fan could not help but laugh. Just based on this breathing technique, his trip to Mount Hua was not in vain. That's good. Xia Ho heaved a sigh of relief. I was really worried that you would suddenly have a chi deviation or something. Ha, am I that scary? Li Fan could not help but laugh. He subconsciously stretched out his hand and touched Xia Hong's head. Little senior sister is so cute, I can't bear to hurt you. Screw you, I'm not a child, how can you touch my head? Xia Yi pushed Li Fan's hand away angrily, I'm not tall to begin with. I won't grow taller if I touch your head. Senior sister, when a girl reaches the age of 18, she basically won't grow anymore. Li Fan really couldn't bear to tell Xia Ho this cruel truth, but he couldn't let her hope for nothing. After all, he was a kind person. So, it's better for you to give up on those random thoughts, don't lie to me. Sect leader said, 23, jump up. That's a boy. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm not talking about girls, my little senior sister. I don't believe you. I can definitely grow to 8 heads. Li Fan was speechless towards Xia Ho's expectations. This woman's thoughts were too good. 8 heads, you're doubting senior sister. Xia Ho pouted, expressing her anger towards Li Fan's doubt. Senior sister is very angry, the consequences are very serious. Yes, senior sister can definitely grow to 8 heads. No, how can 8 heads satisfy senior sister? Senior sister can grow to 10 heads, or even 100 heads. Screw you, wouldn't that make me a monster? Xia Ho rolled her eyes at Li Fan. But I feel that senior sister looks very good like this. Li Fan suddenly said, I wonder why senior sister wants to grow to 8 heads. What do you know? I also want long legs. As the saying goes, a woman will dress up for the one who pleases her. Li Fan asked, which senior brother is senior sister growing taller for? Screw you, matters of love between a man and a woman cannot pique senior sister's interest. Xia Ho said confidently, moreover, I only have brotherly feelings towards those senior brothers. They are all too boring, especially eldest senior brother and third senior brother. One is a dull person, the other is a sword maniac, who would be interested in such a man. Then what kind of Prince Charming in senior sister's heart is? Li Fan's interest was piqued. Tell me about it, I know a few reliable lads, who might meet senior sister's requirements. There are men everywhere on Mount Hua, I don't need you to introduce me. Xia Yi stood on her tiptoes and patted Li Fan's shoulder. Little junior brother, senior sister appreciates your kindness. But I also advise you not to always think about these matters between men and women. It's because you always think about these things, that's why it's easy for you to go berserk. I can see that your talent is quite good. If you practice your sword well, maybe one day you can surpass me. This girl still did not understand her own strength, and when she was sparring with Chen Junhua, she only used sword techniques. The two of them did not use true qi. Alright, it's already late, I won't disturb junior brother's rest. Hee, although I don't know when you're leaving, but don't forget, on Mount Hua, you still have me, your senior sister. Xia Ho said to Li Fan with a smile, if there's anything you don't know, feel free to ask me. As long as it doesn't violate the principles of Mount Hua, I will definitely answer without holding back. Then I'll thank senior sister first. Just as Li Fan was about to say goodbye to Xia Ho, suddenly, 2 crisp sounds came from the roof. Although the sound was not loud, it attracted Li Fan and Xia Ho's attention. Ah, what's that sound? Xia Yi raised her head and looked at the ceiling. Is it raining outside? Senior sister, don't make a sound, it's someone's qing gong. It's the middle of the night, who's running around on the roof? It's definitely not a good person. Senior sister, do you want to go take a look with me? Li Fan thought, could it be that Yin Wuchao is here to cause trouble for him? If he brought Xia Ho over, she could be a notary, lest he and Yin Wuchao made a big fuss and it would be hard to explain to Mount Hua. Alright. I also want to see who has the guts to be so presumptuous in my Mount Hua. When Xia Ho heard this, she also became angry. She placed her hand on the hilt of her sword, as if she was about to flare up, but was suppressed by Li Fan. Then follow me, senior sister. As Li Fan spoke, he used his qing gong and floated out of the door like a wisp of smoke, lightly landing on the roof. Aya, junior brother, wait for me. Xia Ho hurriedly chased after him. Her qing gong was much weaker, and it took her a lot of effort to barely catch up to Li Fan. Chapter 4:16. The Mount Hua sect was huge. Under the cover of the night, it was full of mystery. Meanwhile, on the peak of Mount Hua, a man in black was walking on Mount Hua under the cover of the night. His footsteps were light. Except for the sound he made when he accidentally made on Li Fan's house, he did not make any other sound. He just walked on the roofs as if he was looking for something on Mount Hua. Xia Ho followed him for a while, but she could not keep up with him. Both the man in black and Li Fan's lightness skill were better than hers. Xia Ho tried her best, but the distance between the two of them was getting farther and farther. She was a little anxious. She wanted to call Li Fan, but she was afraid that the man in black would hear her. Li Fan seemed to notice her embarrassment, so he took the initiative to slow down and hold Xia Yi's hand. Before Xia Ho could react, Li Fan had already pulled her, making her feel like she was riding on clouds. Although she had learned lightness skill and liked it, she had never realized that it could be so mysterious. It was as if she had released herself and felt so free. With Li Fan holding her hand, her body also became light. Together with Li Fan, they were like swallows in the night, gliding lightly on Mount Hua. Xia Ho could not help but widen her eyes in surprise. She covered her mouth with her other hand to prevent herself from screaming. The junior brother brought by third senior brother had a good lightness skill. The two of them followed the man in black quietly and went deep into Mount Hua. After walking for more than 10 minutes, the man in black finally slowed down. He seemed to be very confident in himself. After glancing left and right, he landed in front of a house. Xia Ho and Li Fan saw this scene from a mountain far away. Xia Ho could not help but let out a low cry. Li Fan covered her mouth gently with his hand, signaling her to lower her voice. Although they were far away, Li Fan was still worried that the man had extraordinary hearing. It would be terrible if he heard what they were doing. What happened? Li Fan transmitted his voice to Xia Yi, but Xia Yi did not know that Li Fan could use such a profound technique. She thought he was talking normally. This is Elder Rant's room. Xia Ho lowered his voice and whispered in Li Fan's ear, "It's our sword guardian elder." "Shoo, let's watch first." Li Fan pressed one hand on Xia Ho's head. Although he didn't use much strength, it made Xia Ho pout. "Little junior brother is so annoying. He still treats me like a child." Li Fan stared at the man in black. He stood at the door of the room and gently knocked on the door 3 times. Then, he knocked once and twice. The door suddenly opened and only closed after the black-clothed man entered. Xia Ho widened her eyes and pointed at the room. She seemed to want to say something, but Li Fan covered her mouth. "Shoo," he whispered in Xavier's ear, "I want to hear what they said." How could it be, so far away? Xia Ho was in disbelief, but Li Fan had already closed his eyes and used the East-Rising Purple Qi breathing technique. This set of breathing techniques could indeed calm him down. Although they were at least 500 meters apart, Li Fan could still hear the conversation in the room, even though their voices were very low. "Is there anyone around?" "Don't worry, it's just me. Lord Protector, everything is ready." "Very good." Another voice in the room seemed to be suppressing his excitement. "I've waited for this day, for too long. The sect leader asked me to inform you that tomorrow, when the bell rings, the earth will cover the sky. Tell the sect leader not to worry." "I'm ready." "Then I'll take my leave, Protector." The voice faded, and the black-clothed man did not appear again. He seemed to have left somewhere else. Li Fan did not hesitate. He pulled Xia Ho and turned to leave the area to a safer place. "What did they say?" "You can't hear it, right?" "I heard some." Li Fan looked at Xia Ho. "What's your sword protector's character like?" "He's righteous," Xia Ho said without hesitation. "He's very strict. He's very strict with himself and the disciples in the sect. Looks like you, the strict guardian sword elder, are going to do something surprising." Xia Ho did not believe Li Fan's words. "You're just guessing. The sword protector elder is very upright. There's a good saying, you may know a person's face but not his heart." Li Fan smiled. "You'll see the true face of this sword protector elder sooner or later. However, this is not important. What's important is that you better not participate in the sword conference tomorrow." "How can I do that?" "The sword conference every 10 years is very interesting." "I must go. I wasn't a disciple of Mount Hua last time. This time, I must participate. I've long wanted to see it." Xia Ho seemed to want to join in the fun, but Li Fan touched his chin and did not comment. Moreover, it's the sword conference. Sect leader Tang will definitely control the situation. He's the master of West Mountain. Let's hope you're right. Li Fan shrugged. Anyway, this is Mount Hua's matter. I can't interfere. I'm just here to watch the fun. You guys can settle the rest. Don't worry. It'll be fine. I don't know where that man in black came from. He must have been subdued by the Sword Protector Elder. Xia Ho was very confident in her Sword Protector Elder. He and the Sword-Bearing Elder are Sect Leader Tang's right-hand men. Heavenly Sword Sect can only prosper until now because of them. Since that's the case, we'll see you tomorrow, little senior sister. Li Fan bid farewell to Xia Ho. It was too late. He did not want to wander around Mount Hua for too long. He did not want to be chased away as a bad guy. Just as he said, he did not belong to Mount Hua. He was just a passerby. Mount Hua's matters should be settled by Mount Hua itself. Moreover, Xia Ho trusted Tang Yao, the master of West Mountain, so much that Li Fan often saw this name in the Jianghu app. The master of Mount Hua. Because of him, Heavenly Sword Sect had a stable position on Mount Hua. When Li Fan returned to his room, Chen Junhua was already sitting inside. How's the night view of Mount Hua? Chen Junhua didn't suspect anything else. He just symbolically asked Li Fan. It's not bad. The view is beautiful, but it's a bit cold. What about the purple chi from the east? Did it affect you? It's a good help. Your suggestion is indeed useful. Li Fan was very grateful to Chen Junhua. The purple chi from the east provided by Chen Junhua had helped him a lot. Mount Hua is indeed a famous sect with hundreds of years of history. Even a simple breathing technique is so powerful. Li Fan said honestly. If I can stay here longer, I think I'll gain more. Why? Can't you stay longer? Chen Junhua might be simple, but he was not stupid. He instantly understood the meaning behind Li Fan's words. Chapter 4:17. It's nothing. In short, you have to pay more attention to tomorrow's sword conference. If he were to tell Chen Junhua that his sword protection elder was a spy, he would not believe it. After all, the sword protection elder had lived with him for so many years, and he had only known him for a few days. Brotherly, the two of us can be considered friends, right? Chen Junhua asked. Of course, I like to make friends. Li Fan nodded, especially a simple friend like Xiao Hua. I need more friends like you. As Li Fan spoke, he winked at Chen Junhua, but believe me, you are unique. That's good. Chen Junhua told Li Fan, since we are friends, we should be honest with each other. If you have anything to say, just say it. Huh? Do you really want to say it? I won't force it. Chen Junhua's expression had always been so straightforward, but I will be honest with you. Li Fan was speechless for a long time. Damn, alright, I will say it. Li Fan told Chen Junhua what he had heard and guessed, word for word. Do you feel that what I said is like a fantasy? Li Fan looked at Chen Junhua's expression, as if he was observing his thoughts. No, I believe you. However, Chen Junhua said firmly. Oh. Why? Because you don't have to lie to me. Chen Junhua pondered for a moment, but I'm afraid I can't tell the sect leader about this. He won't believe it. Sometimes, Chen Junhua's cleverness surprised Li Fan. This guy, although he was silent, he was not stupid. Tomorrow, I will pay attention to the sword protection elder. As Chen Junhua said, he began to undress. Fuck, what are you doing? Sleeping, my bed is small, let's sleep together tonight. Chen Junhua pointed to his simple bed. Then why are you taking off your clothes? Don't you need to take off your clothes to sleep? Li Fan was speechless for a long time. In the end, he said, I think I can introduce a friend to you. Who? His name is Yan Kai. You will like him. Oh, sure. I've heard of his name. I've always been fascinated by him. Chen Junhua obviously did not understand what Li Fan meant. If there's a chance, I hope to get to know him and see his Tai Chi Kung Fu. Forget it. I can't talk to you. Let's go to sleep, Li Fan pointed at the roof. I'll sleep on the roof. How can we do that? This is not how Mount Hua treats its guests. Chen Junhua obviously didn't agree to Li Fan's suggestion. It's okay. It's hard to see such a beautiful starry sky outside. Li Fan didn't care. Moreover, sleeping in the cold will train my Jinqi's self-protection ability. This is a good training method. Then let me sleep with you. Chen Junhua's words were too ambiguous. Lil Hua, what you should learn is swordsmanship, not Jinqi strengthening. Li Fan hurriedly persuaded him. My training method isn't suitable for you. You're right. Chen Junhua was successfully fooled by Li Fan. He laid on the bed. Then let's meet tomorrow morning. There's a sword conference tomorrow. Brother Li, rest early. No problem. See you tomorrow. Li Fan finally heaved a sigh of relief. He flipped over and landed on the roof, lying on the snow. He looked up at the starry sky. At the same time, he switched his meridians and entered a different mental cultivation method. As he operated the mental cultivation method, he kept staring at the vast Milky Way. The universe was really too vast. It was boundless and beyond the imagination of humans. Li Fan couldn't help but think. In this universe, he couldn't even be considered a small boat. He was too small. And what could he, who was so small, do? But without a doubt, he was also a part of the universe. It was the countless versions of himself that formed the universe. Then, he should become the most outstanding one among the countless versions of himself. Li Fan felt that the mental cultivation method in his body was starting to boil. When he was looking at the universe, Li Fan's mental cultivation method also improved rapidly. He was very surprised. He usually worked so hard to cultivate this mental cultivation method, but he couldn't improve it in the slightest. But now, when he was looking at the universe, his mental cultivation method improved. Could it be absorbing the essence of the sun and moon? Damn, this was bullshit. Li Fan carefully thought about it. It was probably because when he was looking at the universe, his inner state might be different. When it came to practicing martial arts, physical training was only one kind. But mental training was also an important step. Li Fan seemed to enjoy this feeling. He just laid there with his arms open, staring at the vast universe. At this moment, Li Fan no longer breathed through his nose. He simultaneously opened all the pores in his body and breathed along with him. This way, his mental cultivation method circulated even faster. As for Li Fan, it was as if he could feel the universe revolving within his body. This internal energy was too magical. Li Fan temporarily named this martial art Stellar Divine Technique. This way, it would be in line with the meaning and feeling of this mental cultivation method. He seemed to be able to feel the snow around him melting. This magical feeling indeed made him feel very comfortable. Li Fan felt that his Stellar Divine Technique had even greater potential. His true qi spread out from his pores and spread to the surroundings. This kind of true qi control technique was far broader than the sky-swallowing toad. This feeling of being able to control everything made Li Fan feel an addictive pleasure. When Li Fan reacted, his true qi had already begun to circulate on its own. His pores automatically opened and closed, frantically absorbing energy from the surrounding air. At this moment, Li Fan felt that all the martial artists on Mount Hua were losing their true qi bit by bit. Then, the lost true qi merged into the air like a galaxy, revolving around him and then entering his body through his pores. This feeling. Very powerful. And very terrifying. Although Li Fan wanted to control it very much, he was really addicted. This kind of pleasure made him a little unable to stop. As long as he breathed, a large amount of true qi would enter his body. He could clearly feel that his body was constantly becoming stronger. It was just a reverse martial art, but it gave him such a terrifying feeling. Stellar Divine Technique. This martial art was really too terrifying. And when Li Fan was absorbing the surrounding true qi, his inner demon seemed to be roaring. Li Fan immediately forced himself to stop. He had to control it within a certain range. Otherwise, the inner demon would breed again and he would very likely go berserk, destroying everything. Li Fan slapped himself hard and calmed down. Chapter 4:18. In the following period of time, Li Fan didn't cultivate anymore. Instead, he consolidated the strength in his body. It wasn't a good thing to improve his strength too quickly. Although Li Fan hadn't cultivated for a long time, he deeply understood this principle. It was easy to become a demon in one day, but difficult to cultivate for 1,000 years. The faster one cultivated and grew, the more unstable one's state of mind would be. It was like a person who slowly earned money and became rich bit by bit. He knew how to take care of his own wealth. But if it was a nouveau riche, he wouldn't know how to deal with his wealth. Squandering it was a common thing. And it was the same for people who suddenly inherited great power. For example, some second-generation rich people would also squander the wealth that the previous generation had worked hard to earn. Li Fan had this kind of awareness. If he wanted to cultivate a divine technique, it was naturally possible. Increasing his speed appropriately was also a good choice. But if it was too fast, it wouldn't be good. Not choosing to continue absorbing true qi, Li Fan began to consolidate his strength. This was the most correct choice. During this process, Li Fan was still using the breathing technique of Mount Hua to adjust his state of mind. Li Fan gradually calmed down. After a certain period, he also entered a deep sleep. The night quietly passed and the sun rose again. The Mount Hua today was different from the past. It was unknown how many experts had come here and gathered on Mount Hua. These experts all had different appearances, but every one of them had one thing in common, which was that they all carried a treasured sword. The people of the heaven, earth, black, and yellow sword sects had all arrived at the peak of Mount Hua, waiting for the Sword Discourse Conference. On the peak of Mount Hua, it was unknown how many years it took to build a huge observatory. This observatory was a beautiful 8 trigrams stone platform. Half of it was next to the cliff, while the other half was outside the cliff. On the 2 sides of this observatory, there were 2 huge sculptures of human figures. These 2 figures were said to be the 2 founders of Mount Hua. And each of them had 2 disciples. The 4 of them founded the 4 major sword sections. Since then, there had been endless disputes. In the end, the rule of the Sword Discourse Conference was set. Once every 10 years, the next master of Mount Hua would be chosen in the Sword Discourse Conference. This is the Sword Conference. Xia Yi followed beside Li Fan, looking at the swordsman from outside with some excitement. There are so many people today, almost catching up to the usual tourists. Don't make a fuss. There are thousands of tourists. If it's a holiday, it'll be even scarier. Li Fan patted Xia Ho's head and said, there are about 200 to 300 swordsmen. Although there are quite a few of them, it's not shocking enough. As if you've seen something grand, Believe me, I've been through the Spring Festival. Xia Yi obviously didn't understand what Li Fan meant, but it couldn't suppress her curiosity. Look! The cultivators from the other sword sects have arrived. Xia Ming pointed. Li Fan also carefully sized up the swordsmen. Most of their clothes only had 4 colors. The one from Heavenly Sword faction was mainly white while the one from Earth Sword faction was black. The Xianjian sect had a green hue, so the Huangjian sect naturally had a yellow hue. The people from the 4 sword sects only had one goal, and that was to become the champion of this sword conference. The sword conference is divided into 2 parts. One part is for the younger generation to compete, and the other part is for the sect leaders to compete. Xia Ho was still introducing to Li Fan, but the sword conference is cruel. The arena master must be able to defend the stage. That is indeed very cruel. It's a battle of attrition. Li Fan saw that Chen Junhua was already warming up, ready to go on stage at any time. The master of the West Mountain, Tang Yao, also stood at the highest position with an extraordinary aura. On his left and right stood two people who were about the same age as him. The one on the left had his arms crossed. His face was cold like an ice mountain. The other was wearing an iron mask so his face couldn't be seen. However, other than his own sword, he was also carrying Tang Yao's sword. The one with the cold face was the sword protecting elder, and the one with the iron mask was the sword holding elder. The two of them had similar strength and were Tang Yao's left and right arms. In front of him were a few experts wearing other colored clothes. They were the sect leaders of the other sword sections. Sect leader Tang, we haven't seen each other for a long time. The sect leader in black did not seem to have a good attitude. This year's master of Mount Hua should be replaced. Sect leader Wang, long time no see. Your temper is still as straightforward as ever. Tang Yao laughed and said, as for who can become the master of Mount Hua, it will depend on their own sword techniques. Sect leader Wang, in these 10 years, I wonder if your sword techniques have improved. Don't worry, I guarantee that you will be satisfied. Sect leader Wang, it's time for you to change your temper. The sect leader of the Yellow Sword sect, Ning Peng, said, under the leadership of sect leader Tang, Mount Hua is getting better and better. Sect leader Chen, don't you think so? The sect leader of the Xianjian sect was called Chen Xian, and he looked like an honest person. He nodded, yes, it's good that it's stable, don't the two of you want to sit at the peak of Mount Hua? The sect leader of the Earth Sword sect was called Wang Runliang. He angrily pointed at a throne on the mountain peak. Don't the two of you want it? My strength is not enough. As long as I can manage those little brats of the Yellow Sword sect, it's enough. Ning Peng laughed, what about reaching the peak? I've never thought about it. Sect leader Chen, have you thought about it? Chen Xian immediately shook his head, it's too far away. It's good that it's stable, two disappointing fellows. Wang Runliang choked with anger. Obviously, these two's attitude disappointed him. Wang Runliang, don't even think about it. The sword-guarding elders scolded, Xianjian sect and Yellow Sword sect have always supported our sect leader Tang. If you want to reach the peak of Mount Hua, then you have to beat our sect leader Tang in sword techniques. My sword technique today will definitely surprise you. Wang Runliang touched his own sword. No rush. Tang Yao had a good temper. He was not angry, and said slowly, let the younger generation first exchange pointers. Between you and me, we'll decide who's better later. Good. This year, our Earth Sword sect has a few talents. They're not any worse than your Chen Junhua. Wang Runliang said confidently, when the younger generation loses to our Earth Sword sect, don't you cry. Why would I? Everyone is exchanging pointers to make our Mount Hua sect stronger. With outstanding young disciples, I can't wait to be happy. Why would I cry? Save the good words for later. Wang Runliang seemed a bit impatient, the sun is already up, let's start. I can't wait to enter the peak of Mount Hua. Chapter 419. The sun rose high above the mountain stream, and the bright sunlight shone on the observatory. Half of the observatory was shining with light, as if yin and yang were the two extremes. Hundreds of Huashan disciples surrounded the cliff, waiting for the start of the Sword Discourse Conference. It's starting. Xia Yi tiptoed and tried her best to look inside. However, there were too many people in front, and she was short, so it was difficult for her to see. Damn it, why are there so many tall people in front? I can't even see them. Senior sister, do you want to ride on my neck? Li Fan asked. Screw you. I'm not a kid. Xia Yi rolled her eyes at Li Fan. I don't want to ride on your neck, I'll be laughed at. Then I'll carry senior sister and watch. Li Fan didn't allow her to say anything. He directly carried Xia Yi from behind and raised her a little higher. Because he was a martial artist, Li Fan's body was very sturdy, and Xia Yi was not heavy, so Li Fan did not feel tired lifting her up. Ugh, Xia Yi blushed a little as she was lifted up by Li Fan. But this way, she could clearly see the fight in the center of the arena. Because Heavenly Sword Sect was the master of Huashan, Heavenly Sword Sect disciples were responsible for guarding the arena. At this moment, a young disciple from Huashan Heavenly Sword Sect was fighting with a Yellow Sword Sect disciple. As for Qin Junhua, as the last expert of Heavenly Sword Sect, it was impossible for him to make a move so early. This year, the disciples of other sword sects are also very powerful. Xia Yi was very excited, as if she could not wait to go down and fight with them. Her body carried a faint lily fragrance, and because her nose was very close to Li Fan's, the fragrance also tickled Li Fan's nose. Little senior sister, do you want to go down and fight? Li Fan suddenly asked. Ah. How can I do it? Xia Yi hurriedly shook her head. I haven't practiced my swordsmanship well. If I go up on stage like this, I will definitely be laughed at and embarrass our Heavenly Sword Sect. Little senior sister, don't be afraid. I'll help you. Li Fan's voice rang in Xia Yi's ears, making her ears feel a little itchy. How can you help me? Little senior sister will naturally know when she goes up to compete. I don't want to go. You must be trying to trick me. How could that be? When have I ever deceived little senior sister? For some reason, Li Fan's voice gave Xia Yi a very calm feeling. Furthermore, one should practice martial arts more in actual combat. This sword discussion assembly is a rare opportunity for senior sister. Li Fan was like a demon, constantly tempting this little senior sister. Whether I win or lose, it will be of great help to senior sister's future cultivation. You're right, Xia Ho was tempted by Li Fan's words. At that moment, the disciple from the Heavenly Sword faction had been defeated. The young swordsman from the Yellow Sword faction raised his sword arrogantly and asked, Who else? Is there anyone else from the Heavenly Sword faction who dares to fight? Li Fan did not give Xia Ho a chance to think, and directly pushed her from behind. Xia Ho's body immediately flew out, and under the surprised gazes of the Huashan Heavenly Sword faction disciples, she landed on the arena. Ah, why did little junior sister go up? Little junior sister is so bold. Because Xia Ho's strength was not strong, when she went up on the arena, it attracted the discussion of her fellow disciples. It's fine. Big senior brother Yang Yuanqing smiled. Little junior sister's experience is shallow, it's good to let her broaden her horizons. Since big senior brother said it was fine, the other disciples did not say anything, but there were still some people who were worried that little junior sister would get injured. We are all Huashan disciples, so we will naturally not overdo it. Everyone, don't worry. Yang Yuanqing kept his hands in his sleeves and looked at Xia Ho on the arena. Opposite Xia Ho was the disciple from the Yellow Sword faction. He held his sword, looked at Xia Ho, and laughed. Hee, Huashan only has such a delicate and pretty girl. But looking at you, do you think you can take 2 of my sword strikes? The other party's mockery obviously angered Xia Ho. She hugged her sword and cupped her hands at the other party. Huashan Heavenly Sword faction, Xia Ho. Huashan Yellow Sword faction, Yao Gang. Just as Yao Gang from the Yellow Sword faction finished speaking, his body suddenly appeared in front of Xia Ho, and the sword in his hand directly stabbed at Xia Ho 3 times in a row. Swoosh, 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 the 3 strikes were as fast as shadows. It was the Huashan sword technique's 3 friends of winter. Although the sword techniques of the 4 major sword factions were different, there was still a subtle difference. The Heavenly Sword faction focused on sword intent, while the Earth Sword faction focused on sword techniques. On the other hand, the Xianjian faction and the Yellow Sword faction both preferred fast swords. The 3 Friends of Winter was performed by Yao Gang, and it was as fast as lightning. Xia Ho was stunned for a moment. Although she usually sparred with her senior brothers, most of the time, it was because her senior brothers deliberately let her fight. Moreover, the three friends of winter was slightly different from the one she practiced. It was so fast that she could not see it clearly. She was a little flustered, and also a little regretful. Why did she listen to her junior brother's bewitchment and come to the arena? If she was defeated in one move, wouldn't it be embarrassing for Huashan? But at this critical moment, Xiaoho's body suddenly trembled. She felt as if her body was wrapped up by something, and then she could not help but move on her own. She raised the charming gentle sword in her right hand, and at that moment, Xiaoho felt as if she had seen her opponent's flaw. Her hand continued to move on its own, holding the charming gentle sword. She instantly wrapped it around Yao Gang's sword, and then flicked it. Clang! Yao Gang's sword was flicked away, and Xiaoho's long sword was pressed against Yao Gang's neck. Yao Gang's face was flushed red. Xiaoho was also very surprised. At this moment, Li Fan's voice rang in Xiaoho's ears. Don't worry, leave it to me. Xiaoho was shocked. What method did this junior brother use? Although Li Fan was standing in the distance, he had already switched to the Star Luo Divine Technique state. He made his true qi look like a coat and draped it over Xiaoho's body. This way, he only needed to control his true qi to control Xiaoho's movements. Senior sister, just relax. Let me do the rest. Li Fan continued to transmit his voice. Senior sister, you only need to seriously experience this match. Xiaoho did not dare to make a sound, afraid that others would see through her. But how did junior brother do it, to actually be able to control his own body? Could it be that when he was hugging me? Did he use some kind of method? But before Xiaoho could figure it out, the next Xianjian sect opponent had already jumped up. Let me experience junior sister Xiao's great move. His feet stepped on the qing gong, his body quickly moved in the air, and the long sword in his hand continuously danced. Huashan Sword Technique, Cloud Dragon 5 Appearances. This move was powerful because of the strangeness of the sword technique, making people unable to grasp it. This was a high-level sword technique in Huashan Sword Technique. He did not expect the opponent to use such a sword technique. In this way, even Yang Yuansheng was a little worried. Chapter 420. The Xianjian sect disciples' Cloud Dragon 5 appearance was not only strange, it was also extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of Xia Yi. But Xia Yi only turned her body, the charming gentle sword in her hand was raised again, easily entangling the Xianjian sect disciples' Cloud Dragon 5 appearance. Clang! Xia Yi swept her sword, and the Cloud Dragon 5 appearance was beheaded. The Xianjian sect disciple's sword was sent flying, and his body fell down, falling onto the ground. Wow! Junior sister is so powerful, what sword technique is that? The Heavenly Sword sect disciples started to discuss, and Yang Yuanqing said, it is her self-created charming gentle sword technique. But, this is the first time I've seen it actually work. Although Xia Yi had created a charming gentle sword technique, no one from Huashan sect felt that this move was useful, it was more like a gorgeous sugar coat. Chen Junhua frowned. With his junior sister's talent, would she be able to comprehend the true essence of this move in a day? Tang Yao, you bastard, this is not Huashan's sword technique. Wang Runliang immediately protested, this is Huashan's sword discourse assembly, how can you use outside sword techniques? Oh, sorry, this is my Huashan disciple's self-created sword technique, naturally it is Huashan's sword technique. Tang Yao was a little happy, after the sword discourse assembly, you guys can also learn this move. Humph. Wang Runliang snorted heavily, as though he was extremely dissatisfied. But his eyes never left Xia Yi, after all, Xia Yi's charming gentle thistle technique had truly surprised him. This move seemed to be specialized in restraining sword techniques. No matter what kind of sword technique the opponent used, they would all be sent flying by Xia Yi's sword. Chunlin. It's time for you to show off your skills. Wang Runliang called out loudly. A young expert with long black hair carried his sword with him. With a flip of his body, he somersaulted in the air and landed lightly on the observatory platform. He glanced at Xia Ho, who was opposite him. "You can go down." He was extremely arrogant, with one hand on the sword hilt, and the other hand hanging by his leg. "My opponent is not you. Although you look powerful, isn't it too rude to look down on others?" Xia Yi was unhappy again. Why did so many people look down on him? He had clearly trained hard with the sword, but why did everyone look at him with colored glasses? It was too uncomfortable. Xia Ho decided to prove herself. She told Li Fan, "I want to do it myself." Although others could not understand it, Li Fan heard it clearly. "This person is very strong," Li Fan could not help but remind him. "I don't care. I want to do it myself." Xia Ho lost her temper. "If you don't agree, I'll cut all ties with you." Li Fan was helpless. This little girl had become willful. At first, Li Fan wanted to intervene. However, when he saw Xia Ho's serious expression, he seemed to be moved. Although Xia Yi was a girl, at this moment, he saw the shadow of himself in Xia Yi. This lass, she was indeed serious. Li Fan sighed and loosened his control. Xia Ho's body became more at ease. She raised her charming gentle sword, assumed the stance of the Hua Shan sword style, and looked at the Earth Sword sect disciple in front of her. "Hua Shan Earth Sword School, Yang Chunlin." The other party said his name calmly. "Hua Mountain's Heavenly Sword Faction, Xia Hui. Please enlighten me." Xia Ho was completely focused. As if she was facing a great enemy, she began to attack Yang Chunlin. Needless to say, this little girl Xia Ho's foundation was quite solid. She used her Hua Shan sword style. Although it was nothing special, it was steady and there was nothing wrong with it. On the other hand, Yang Chunlin didn't even draw his sword. He only held the scabbard and blocked Xia Ho's attacks. To Xia Ho, this was obviously a big blow. He was looking down on her too much. Xia Ho was not happy. Her attacks were obviously getting impatient. Yang Chunlin took advantage of an opening and blocked Xia Ho's sword. Then, he patted her shoulder with his palm. Bam! Xia Ho flew out and fell on the ground. She grimaced in pain. Li Fan shook his head. Xia Ho still needed more training in the way of the sword. This girl was too impatient. Annoying. She was very angry. She stood up and picked up her sword at the same time. Time to end this. Yang Chunlin suddenly appeared in front of her. The scabbard in his hand was aimed at Xia Ho's acupuncture point. But at that moment, Xia Ho raised her charming sword and wrapped it around Yang Chunlin's sword. Then, she flicked it. Clang! Yang Chunlin's sword was bounced off, but it didn't bounce out of his hand. Ah, Li Fan was obviously a little surprised. Although the charming thorns move just now was still a little rough, it was successfully executed by Xia Ho. It seemed that this girl was quite powerful. After being controlled by him to use the sword a few times, she already had some muscle memory. Ah! Xia Ho was also a little surprised. She looked at the familiar charming sword. This move. She used it. It was strange. It was a sword technique that she created. Why was she so happy to be able to use it? Before Xia Ho could feel happy, Yang Chunlin's scabbard had already touched Xia Ho's shoulder. Xia Ho couldn't control her body and fell from the observatory. She was caught by her two senior brothers. Xia Ho, your performance was very good. Just when Xia Yi was a little upset, sect leader Tang Yao personally walked over and patted her shoulder. The hope of Huashan rests on you youngsters. Do your best. Thank you, sect leader. Thank you. Xia Ho was extremely happy. This was the first time she was praised by the sect leader. So happy. She had been in Huashan for so many years, but she had always been reprimanded. Leave the rest to your senior brothers. Tang Yao said and flicked his sleeve. Yuansheng, go down and try your junior brother's sword technique. Yes, master. Young Yuansheng bowed, then stepped on the wind and jumped onto the stage. You are not my opponent. Yang Chunlin didn't look at this eldest disciple of Heavenly Sword sect. He still lowered his head and gently stroked his scabbard. Junior brother Yang, I am really sorry. If you want to see my third junior brother, you have to go through me first. Yang Yuansheng pulled out his sword. Then I will send you off first. Yang Chunlin was very arrogant. He still didn't pull out the scabbard and just stood there. Yang Yuansheng first bowed and politely reported his name. Then he charged towards Yang Chunlin with his sword. Li Fan crossed his arms. Seeing this sword, he couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. As expected of the eldest disciple of Heavenly Sword sect. This sword was indeed stunning. In almost an instant, Yang Yuansheng's sword was already in front of Yang Chunlin. Huashan sword technique, Azure Dragon out of water. Chapter 421. Blue Dragon out of water, a sword like a rainbow. This sword instantly pierced Yang Chunlin's forehead. It was fast, accurate, and ruthless. There was no flaw at all. But Yang Chunlin raised his scabbard and used the same blue dragon out of water, accurately hitting the tip of Yang Yuansheng's sword. Dang! Yang Yuansheng's sword was bounced off. Although he was surprised, he did not hesitate. The sword in his hand continued to attack, as if he wanted to force Yang Chunlin to pull out his sword. But Yang Chunlin did not panic. Instead, he easily dealt with Yang Yuansheng's attack. Yang Yuansheng's character was gentle. His sword art was big and wide, with the air of a general. As for Yang Chunlin's sword art, it was hard to tell what style it was. Basically, whatever sword move Yang Yuansheng used, he would use the same sword move and then suppress Yang Yuansheng. Li Fan could not help but shake his head. This Yang Chunlin was too arrogant. He looked down on people like this. Even if Yang Yuansheng had a good temper, he should be angry, right? But Yang Yuansheng was still not angry. He just attacked methodically. But after dozens of moves, Yang Yuansheng still did not have any achievements. Li Fan crossed his arms, watching the show while studying the two's sword art. Li Fan's own martial arts were different from these experts. His 7-hero fist could usually defeat the enemy in one move within 10 moves. Li Fan liked a straightforward fighting style. That kind of slow fighting style was too boring for him. Although Yang Yuansheng and Yang Chunlin's sword art was not bad, after fighting for so long, there was no clear winner. Li Fan could not help but yawn. It's about time. Yang Chunlin seemed to be tired of it. Defeating you now is not a loss of face for you. With that, Yang Chunlin suddenly blocked Yang Yuansheng's move. Then, he lifted his leg and kicked Yang Yuansheng, kicking him off the observatory platform. One had to say, this Yang Chunlin was quite powerful. Li Fan commented. He was different from other sword sect disciples. He did not stick to his own sword art. He often liked to use his fists and feet to subdue his enemies. Thanks for letting me win. That was all Yang Chunlin said. As for Yang Yuansheng, he silently stood up and tidied his clothes. Next, he politely cupped his fists towards Yang Chunlin before turning around and returning to the group of disciples from Heavenly Sword faction. Do you see that? Ha ha ha. Wang Runliang couldn't help but laugh heartily. Chunlin is the disciple I'm most proud of. He's destined to make a killing this year. Chunlin is a good kid, but his character is a little arrogant. This will be detrimental to his future growth. Tang Yao began to worry. Humph. He is my disciple. I can worry about him myself. It is not up to you, someone from Heavenly Sword faction, to worry about him. Sect leader Wang, we're all disciples of Mount Hua. You shouldn't say that. Let's talk about this again when I become the head of the sect. Wang Runliang seemed to be confident of his victory, and Yang Chunlin had defeated a few more challengers. Finally, he could not hold it in any longer and pointed his scabbard at Qin Junhua, who was standing calmly below. Qin Junhua. You. Come up. Senior brother Yang is fighting to his heart's content, I don't want to dampen your spirits. Qin Junhua answered honestly. Ha. Your words are really arrogant. Yang Chunlin sneered. Everyone says I'm arrogant, but in my opinion, you, Qin Junhua, are the most arrogant person in Mount Hua. I don't agree with senior brother Yang's words. Qin Junhua's words drove Yang Chunlin crazy. I only like to practice my sword. Winning or losing doesn't matter to me. If senior brother Yang likes it, you can have this victory. No. Come up here. Yang Chunlin looked like a person with a poker face. At this moment, he was angered by Qin Junhua. Junhua, go down and spar with your senior brother Yang. Tang Yao clapped his hands and instructed. Yes. Qin Junhua still obeyed the sect leader's order. He carried the great sword on his back and jumped onto the observatory platform, standing in front of Yang Chunlin. Senior brother Yang, please. Unsheath your sword. Yang Chunlin knew the secret of Qin Junhua's greatsword. He immediately requested. Well, if you want to see my sword, you can only rely on senior brother's strength. Qin Junhua's words finally angered Yang Chunlin. It was no wonder. Although Yang Chunlin was a genius, it seemed that the world only knew of Mount Hua's Qin Junhua. No one knew of Mount Hua's Yang Chunlin. A mountain cannot hold two tigers. In the past, Yang Chunlin had always thought of Qin Junhua as his opponent. But today, he wanted to completely defeat him. Li Fan finally became interested and cheered up. Xia Ho also unknowingly squeezed back to his side. She pointed at the observatory platform and said. Third senior brother finally went up. He will definitely teach that arrogant ghost a lesson. Both of their sword techniques are not bad. It's worth watching. Li Fan nodded. Xia Ho lowered her voice and asked, Junior brother. What did you do just now? Xia Ho was asking about how Li Fan controlled her body. It's like he was possessed. It sounds so scary, but it's actually very simple. I will explain it to senior sister later. If I was rude to senior sister, I hope senior sister can forgive me. Li Fan cupped his hands. Xia Ho generously said, it's alright. At least it gave senior sister some courage. In the next sword conference, I must rely on my own strength to defeat those fellows who look down on me. Senior sister is right. Ah, they're fighting. Hearing Xia Ho's words, Li Fan immediately turned his gaze back. Qin Junhua and Yang Chunlin finally fought together. Yang Chunlin didn't hide anymore. He simply pulled out his sword and directly stabbed at Qin Junhua. On the other hand, Qin Junhua raised his great sword and beautifully executed the Charming Thorns move, immediately sending Yang Chunlin's long sword flying. Dang! Yang Chunlin was taken aback. His body flipped in the air and he once again pulled out his sword. This move, Charming Thorns, was created by my junior sister. Please remember it. Qin Junhua proved the name of this move, making Xia Ho unbearably excited. Ayaya, it's all thanks to my third senior brother. This move is much more powerful than me. If you practice hard, you will also be this powerful. Li Fan comforted her. But my talent is not as high as senior brother's. Hard work can make up for a lack of talent. Are you saying that I'm stupid? Xia Ho pouted and wrinkled her nose as she looked at Li Fan, causing Li Fan to tremble. Damn it, why is this girl's point of view different from mine? I am obviously comforting her, but why did I make her angry? Qin Junhua, don't look down on me. Yang Chunlin held his sword and pointed it at Qin Junhua. Today, I will let you know that you are not the only one on Mount Hua. Yang Chunlin's sword was sent flying. To him, this is simply a humiliation. He looked at the biggest enemy in his life and brought out his full strength. Chapter 422. Earth Sword Faction is good at endless sword techniques. Huashan Faction's sword techniques are very simple because Sky Sword Faction advocates sword intent. But Earth Sword Faction is different. They can transform each technique into dozens of techniques, making their sword techniques extremely complicated. Seeing Yang Chunlin's Huashan sword technique, even Tang Yao couldn't help but applaud. Yang Chunlin is indeed my Huashan Faction's disciple. His sword technique is outstanding, very good. You still have the mood to praise my disciple? Wang Runliang sneered, soon, your disciple will lose. Don't look down on Junhua. Tang Yao wasn't the least bit anxious. Instead, he leisurely said, he is my disciple that I have painstakingly trained. I believe in his strength. You are the same as your disciple. Both are very arrogant. Wang Runliang curled his lips, Huashan Faction being managed by people like you will collapse sooner or later. Huashan Faction's strength can still last for a few hundred years. Our sword Dao is not destroyed. This is the reason why we are strong. That's all nonsense. Wang Runliang snorted, don't give me a chance. Once I do, I will definitely defeat you and put you in a place of no return. It's time for you to change that temper of yours. Tang Yao sat there, smiling as he asked his eldest disciple Yang Yuansheng who was standing behind him. Yuansheng, between the two of them, who do you think will win? Although junior brother Yang's sword technique is sharp, he doesn't understand the power of sword intent. Yang Yuansheng said, in less than 3 moves, junior brother Yang will lose. Nonsense. Chunlin will win. Just as Wang Runliang finished speaking, Chen Junhua had already knocked away Yang Chunlin's sword. Your sword only has technique but no sword intent. Chen Junhua reminded Yang Chunlin who was half kneeling there, communicate with your sword. It won't do you any harm. None of your business. Yang Chunlin seemed to be a bit mad, 1 year later, I will take your head. With that, Yang Chunlin didn't even want his sword and directly jumped down from the observation platform. Although it was a 10,000 feet cliff, this person's qinggong is not bad. He won't die here. Chunlin, Wang Runliang's eyes were bloodshot, but Tang Yao pressed down on his shoulder. It's time for him to gain some experience. Tang Yao said, you've kept him by your side too long, sect leader Wang. Damn it. Wang Runliang gritted his teeth. If anything happens to my precious disciple, I won't let you off. Don't worry, you have the bearing of an expert. Tang Yao glanced around. There were no other challengers on the platform. Looks like the young arena master for this swords conference is Heavenly Sword Faction's Chen Junhua. That's all for the entertainment. Time to get to the main topic. Wang Runliang urged. Good, good, good. Since Sect Master Wang is in such a hurry, I will officially announce that the sword conference will enter the second stage. With that, Tang Yao used his qinggong and landed on the observatory. I will be the ringmaster. The remaining challengers can come on stage. Following Tang Yao, the Sword Protector Elder and the Sword Bearer Elder flew down and stood at the edge of the observatory. Wang Runliang couldn't wait any longer and jumped onto the observatory. This year's West Mountain Master will be me. He seemed to be confident of his victory. The Sword Bearer Elder and the Sword Protector Elder walked over together. The Sword Bearer Elder held Tang Yao's sword while the Sword Protector Elder held a silver basin. Sect Leader Wang, let's begin. Tang Yao stretched out his hand and washed his hand in the Sword Protector Elder's basin. Then, he reached for his own sword. But at that moment, the Sword Protector Elder suddenly raised the basin and the water inside sprayed towards Tang Yao. Almost subconsciously, Tang Yao swung his sleeves to block the water. The Sword Protector Elder directly pulled out Tang Yao's West Mountain sword from the Sword Bearer Elder's hand and stabbed towards Tang Yao. The Sword Bearer Elder was shocked. He pulled out his own sword from his back and prepared to help the sect leader. The sect leaders of Xianjian faction and Huangjian faction who were watching from the side all flew down and jumped onto the platform, fighting with the Sword Protector Elder. Xia Ho was stunned by the sudden change in the arena. Junior brother. Did his words come true? The Sword Protector Elder really teamed up with the Earth Sword faction to rebel? Jin Cheng, what are you doing? Tang Yao retreated as he scolded the Sword Protector Elder in front of him. What am I doing? Do you even need to ask? The Sword Protector Elder's voice was cold as he chased after Tang Yao. I'm going to kill you. He really came. Chen Junhua was about to attack, but his senior brother Yang Yuansheng was faster. He suddenly jumped up and jumped towards his master. Master, I'm coming to help you. He used the Cloud Dragon's 5 appearances in the air and shouted, You bastard, I'm going to kill you. In the blink of an eye, he was already behind the Sword Protector Elder and stabbed towards him. But the Sword Protector Elder lowered his body and dodged his attack. Yang Yuansheng landed next to his master and said, Master, your disciple is coming to help you. Yuansheng, you're not his opponent, quickly dodge. Before Tang Yao could finish speaking, Yang Yuansheng suddenly stabbed his sword into his ribs. Tang Yao's eyes widened as the Sword Protector Elder's sword stabbed towards Tang Yao's throat. Scram! The head of the Earth Sword School, Wang Runliang, suddenly made his move. He flew forward and used the 3 Friends of Winter to knock away the Sword Protector Elder's sword. At the same time, he kicked Yang Yuansheng away. Bastard, you dare to kill your master. Wang Runliang's hair was trembling and his eyes were red like an angry lion. Runliang, Tang Yao, are you okay? Wang Runliang supported Tang Yao and glanced worriedly at his wound. I'm fine, I've never been so weak. Tang Yao stood up straight. Yang Yuansheng patted his dirty clothes and smiled at Wang Runliang. Head Wang, haven't you always wanted to be the master of West Mountain? You should be happy that I killed Tang Yao. Bullshit. Wang Runliang angrily cursed, I want to be the master of West Mountain because of my skills, my swordsmanship. When did I ever use such despicable methods? Bastard, Tang Yao was blind, how did he raise a bastard like you? Don't be angry, let me ask him. While Tang Yao and the others were talking, Chen Junhua silently stood beside him. The disciples of Huashan Heavenly Sword School and Earth Sword School were confronting the disciples of Xianjian School and Huangjian School. 2 Xianjian School disciples wanted to grab Xia Ho but were kicked to the ground by Li Fan. Junior brother. They're crazy. Xia Ho's face was pale. She couldn't believe it. How did it suddenly become like this? Don't worry, it's okay. Li Fan protected Xia Ho. On the other side, Tang Yao endured his wound and asked his disciple. Yuansheng, why did you do this? Chapter 423. Tang Yao covered his wound. His face showed no anger or anything else as he stared at his eldest disciple. Master, you've been the sect leader of Hua Mountain for too long. A few Xianjian and Huangjian sect experts landed beside Yang Yuansheng to protect him. While Yang Yuansheng was tidying up his clothes, he said to Tang Yao. It's time for Hua Mountain to change. You brat, dream on. Wang Runliang cursed, as long as I'm here, don't even think about getting what you want. Wang Runliang, you're quite loyal. Yang Yuansheng clapped his hands, but your subordinates might not be so loyal. As soon as he said that, a lot of Earth Sword sect experts gathered around Yang Yuansheng, ready to be used by him. What? Wang Runliang couldn't believe it. His fellow disciples were actually willing to be Yang Yuansheng's thugs. Master, you've always wanted the 4 major sword sects to become one, without any division or conflict. So, disciple helped you achieve it. Yang Yuansheng smiled and said, from today onwards, the 4 major sword sects will no longer exist. There will only be one Hua Mountain sect in Jianghu. And I, Yang Yuansheng, will be the sect leader of Hua Mountain, the true master of Shiyu. Why are you in such a hurry? Tang Yao couldn't help but sigh, for the position of sect leader, you're willing to kill each other. You're my eldest disciple. After 10 years, when I'm old, the sect leader position will naturally be yours. What a nice way to put it. Yang Yuanqing sneered, you only have Qin Junhua in your heart. Sooner or later, you'll hand over Hua Mountain to Qin Junhua. No matter how much effort I put into Hua Mountain, it'll be useless. It'll all go to someone else. You're wrong about that. Tang Yao said honestly, in my heart, only you are the new sect leader of Hua Mountain. Although Junhua's swordsmanship is outstanding, he's simple and not suitable to be the sect leader. But you're different. You're steady and know how to manage. Plus, you're able to control your fellow disciples. So I've always wanted to leave the sect leader position to you. Unfortunately, I've misjudged you. What's the point of saying all this now? Yang Yuanqing seemed to tremble slightly, but he quickly calmed down. This sword conference will be your funeral. Dream on. Chen Junhua carried his heavy sword and slowly walked to the front. With me here, who can harm sect master? Third junior brother, I know your swordsmanship is powerful, but I'm afraid you won't be able to help us today. With that, Yang Yuanqing pointed at Xiaya. You usually treat her like a younger sister. Today, you can put her to good use. Men, bring Xia Yi here. With that said, the two experts of the Xianjian sect immediately flew towards Xia Yi from the left and right. Xia Ho was still in a daze. She couldn't believe this shocking change. At this moment, Li Fan's figure appeared above the two swordsmen. At the same time, he clasped his hands on the heads of the two swordsmen and pressed their heads down. His body dropped down and knocked their heads onto the ground. Bang bang. With two muffled sounds, the two of them fainted. Xiao Hua, it's different from what you said. Why is Mount Hua not peaceful at all? It's probably on Brother Li's side. Fuck. Li Fan was so angry that he grinned. He was not a jinx. What do you mean by, on my side? Li Fan, you're an outsider, yet you want to meddle in my Mount Hua's business. Yang Yuanqing looked at Li Fan and narrowed his eyes. I advise you not to get involved in this mess. Be careful not to lose your life. You don't have to worry about me. My life is tough. Li Fan had a smile on his face as he looked at Yang Yuanqing with a playful expression. You're quite unlucky. You've been planning for many years to rope in so many experts, right? I'm sorry, but you met me. You're unlucky. You? I don't care about you. Yang Yuanqing's gaze landed on the sword-protecting elder. Elder Ran, I'll be troubling you. Leave it to me. The sword-protecting elder soared into the air. In the air, he directly thrusted his sword towards Li Fan. Mount Hua sword technique, Azure Dragon rises. This sword-protecting elder's internal energy was at least at the peak of strength. His sword technique was also very outstanding. However, Li Fan did not have any fear. He waited for the guardian sword elder's sword to stab in front of him. Then, he suddenly stretched out his hand and caught the sword with only 3 fingers. Mount Hua sword technique was not like Murong's sword technique. It was full of sword chi. That was why Li Fan could use the great sage picking star to capture the sword. The sword-protecting elder was obviously stunned. But Li Fan's other hand grabbed the sword-protecting elder's collar and pulled him down. Using his shoulder as a weapon, the sword-protecting elder's waist directly hit his shoulder and then pressed down. Crack. The sword-protecting elder's spine made a cracking sound. Obviously, it was broken by Li Fan. Bear King Cauldron, change. Li Fan's 7 Heroes Fist was not just in the category of ancient martial arts. He had also integrated some modern fighting techniques into it. All rivers run into the sea. Li Fan's strange and brutal moves had truly frightened the others. That was the sword-protecting elder, but he was defeated by the little tyrant, Li Fan, in one move. The sword-protecting elder has failed. Yang Yuanqing berated, for black-clothed elders, it's up to you. Let the new sect leader see the abilities of us 4 brothers. The 4 elders of the Xianjian sect immediately walked out. The 4 of them looked exactly the same, so they should be quadruplets. The 4 of them were of one mind and rushed towards Li Fan in unison. Then, they surrounded Li Fan in the middle and began to circle around him. For swords seemed like they would pierce into Li Fan's body at any time. Little junior brother, be careful. At this time, Xia Ho also came to his senses and could not help but remind Li Fan, these 4 people are very powerful. The 4 talent sword formation they formed is flawless and extremely powerful. Thank you for your reminder, senior sister. Just as Li Fan said that, the 4 of them suddenly stepped forward together, their treasured swords stabbing towards Li Fan in unison. However, Li Fan's body directly jumped up, twisted in the air, and pressed down on the 4 people's treasured swords with both hands. Then, he separated his legs and kicked the heads of the 2 elders, causing the 2 of them to lose their vision and fall down. Li Fan's body was in the air, then he turned around and slapped another elder's head, pressing down on his head and ruthlessly smashing his body onto the ground. At the same time, Li Fan's knee pressed down on the elder's neck, causing him to suffocate. In the blink of an eye, Li Fan had directly knocked down 3 elders. The remaining one was unable to form the 4 talents sword formation. He stared blankly at Li Fan from the side, feeling a little silly. Li Fan stood up and walked towards him. Only then did the elder come to his senses and hurriedly brandished his treasured sword, trying to force Li Fan to retreat. Chapter 424. Li Fan first used Crane Hand and slapped the elder's sword away. At the same time, he used White Crane Nod with his other hand and hit the elder's temple on his chest, directly knocking the last elder unconscious. The people of Mount Hua were all shocked. What kind of strength does Li Fan have to be able to defeat the 4 black-clothed elders so easily? It's a bit like a dream. Most importantly, what kind of martial art is this kid using? Why is it so strange? It seems like I've never seen it before. I heard that this little overlord Li Fan created a martial art called 7 Heroes Fist. Could this be his 7 Heroes Fist? Everyone don't be afraid, he's only one person. Yang Yuanqing felt that everyone's momentum had weakened. This was not a good sign. He immediately pointed at Li Fan and shouted, "Brothers, let's attack together. No matter who kills him, they will obtain the title of Little Overlord." The title of Jiang, who was indeed very attractive. Yang Yuanqing's words resonated with everyone. Those who were willing to follow him were all experts with ambition. At this moment, the disciples of Earth Sword faction, Xianjian faction, Huangjian faction and even a few Heavenly Sword faction could not hold back and pounced towards Li Fan. Over 100 swordsmen, over 100 swords, all pointed at Li Fan, as if they wanted to cut him into pieces. Heavens, there are too many people. Xia Ho could not help but worry. Junior brother, quickly run. Senior sister, don't worry, I have my ways. Li Fan retreated a few steps. A few hundred meters behind him was the buried sword pool of Mount Hua. Li Fan took a deep breath and entered the heaven-swallowing toad state. Suddenly, a tremor came from the buried sword pool in the distance. Those swordsmen who were preparing to attack were all stunned. What happened to the buried sword pool? 3,000. World. Li Fan suddenly roared. His voice was like a deep and resounding bell. Meanwhile, the dense mass of swords in the burial sword pool behind him suddenly trembled, and then they were pulled out from the soil and floated into the air. Then, they flew behind Li Fan and floated there like a huge wall of swords. Li Fan used his 3,000 worlds to forcefully pull these swords to his side. All the Huashan disciples were shocked. Even Tang Yao broke out in a cold sweat when he saw this scene. Unbelievable, come on. Let's fight. Li Fan provoked loudly. Those disciples looked at each other. More than 100 people gathered their courage and charged at Li Fan together. Li Fan stretched out his hand and pointed. The internal energy of the sky-swallowing toad was unleashed to the extreme. There were at least 1,000 treasured swords that immediately flew towards those disciples like rain. Dang dang dang. The disciples of Mount Hua bitterly resisted the rain of swords. Many disciples could not withstand it and were injured by the rain of swords. Heavens, heavens, as for Xia Ho, he was also dumbfounded. The day before, his junior brother could not even take out a single sword. But today, he actually pulled out all the treasured swords. After the rain of swords passed, there were only a dozen or so disciples of Mount Hua who were barely able to stand. They were also covered in injuries. Their bodies were filled with treasured swords, proof of the shocking scene just now. Who can stop me? With a loud shout from Li Fan, those few disciples of Mount Hua who were barely able to block the rain of swords turned around and ran. No one dared to go against Li Fan anymore. At this moment, Li Fan stood there like a god of war. One look at him was enough to make one's heart tremble with fear. Senior brother Yang, looks like you don't have many subordinates left. Li Fan looked at Yang Yuanqing and said, why don't senior brother Yang exchange a few moves with me? Sure. Unexpectedly, Yang Yuanqing really agreed. Now that things have come to this, it's time for me to display my strength. He slowly walked to the front and at the same time slowly pulled out his treasured sword. In the blink of an eye, he suddenly crossed the distance of 30 meters and arrived in front of Li Fan. At the same time, his sword chopped down towards Li Fan's head. Clang! Li Fan raised his right hand. In his palm was a ball of true qi, blocking Yang Yuanqing's sword. Bang! The ground under Li Fan's feet cracked. It could be seen how heavy Yang Yuanqing's sword was. However, Yang Yuanqing's sword was only a feint. His right hand behind his back circulated his power. His entire hand was like a red jade, incomparably red. His palm directly imprinted on Li Fan's chest. Puff! Li Fan actually spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated 2 steps. The clothes on his chest were torn to shreds, revealing a bloody palm print on his chest. At this moment, Li Fan felt as if there was a fire burning in his body. Even his blood was boiling, causing him extreme pain. Blood flame palm. Tang Yao's eyes almost popped out. Yang Yuanqing. You actually fell to such a state. Blood flame palm, this was the martial art of the Paragon sect. You actually learned the martial art of the Devil sect. You. Tang Yao's temper had always been good. Even when he was stabbed, he did not get angry. However, at this moment, he was actually so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that he was angry. Head sect leader, please take care. Wang Runliang hurriedly circulated his power to heal him. However, internal and external injuries could be healed, but heart injuries could not. Tang Yao's eyes were red. He pointed at Yang Yuanqing. I don't have a disciple like you. Ha ha ha, Tang Yao, what kind of sweet dream are you still having? Yang Yuanqing laughed. His smile was hideous and terrifying. Xia Hong looked at him. Looking at this eldest senior brother who was familiar in the past, but at this moment, he was extremely unfamiliar. He could not help but take 2 steps back. Was this still his eldest senior brother? You are not eldest senior brother. Who are you? Xia Hong asked innocently. I'm your eldest senior brother. Yang Yuanqing looked at Xia Hong and laughed sinisterly. I'm your real eldest senior brother. Little junior sister, come with me. You can be the sect leader's wife. He. I don't know you. Get lost. Xia Hong pushed Yang Yuanqing's hand away. Little junior sister, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Yang Yuanqing was enraged. He raised his red jade-like hand and was about to strike at Xia Hong. Thief, how dare you! Chen Junhua roared and threw the long sword in his hand at Yang Yuanqing. Clang! Yang Yuanqing deflected the heavy sword that flew over. He used all his hidden strength. He was still an expert who had reached the peak of perfection. Although Qin Junhua's sword technique was powerful, he was only an expert who had reached the peak of perfection. Back then, when Li Fan reached the peak of perfection, it was extremely difficult to defeat him. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will die. Little junior sister, go to hell and regret it. As Yang Yuanqing spoke, he slapped Xia Hong's forehead. Xia Hong had already closed her eyes in fear. She seemed to be waiting for death in despair. Chapter 425. Xia Yan was already waiting for death. She felt some despair in her heart. Where did the eldest senior brother who doted on her in the past? Tears rolled down from the corner of Xia Yan's eyes. But at this critical moment, Li Fan suddenly stood up and clashed with Yang Yuanqing's palm. Bang! The energy spread out, causing Li Fan and Yang Yuanqing to take a step back at the same time. It seemed that because of cultivating devil arts, Yang Yuanqing's inner force was very strong and was actually on par with him. Li Fan's qi churned as he began to circulate his qi to suppress it. Impossible. Yang Yuanqing was somewhat shocked. Your heart meridian was hit by my blood flame great palm, you can't circulate for at least a day or you will explode and die. Why are you fine? Take your time to guess. Li Fan actually switched meridians and entered the Star Luo Divine Arts strength. Because he absorbed a lot of true qi last night, the Star Luo Divine Art already has the strength of 4 dragons. And Yang Yuanqing's strength is also around 4 dragons, so he is on par with Li Fan. Senior sister, stand behind me. Li Fan temporarily suppressed the power of the blood flame great palm, and for a day, he can only use the Star Luo Divine Art to fight. The Star Luo Divine Art's mental cultivation method is different, so most of the 7 hero fists moves are not suitable. But the Star Luo Divine Art's palm technique only has one defensive move, Vajra. But this is not difficult for Li Fan. Even if he can't use the 7 hero fist, he still has many fighting techniques that he can use. One technique connects 10,000 techniques. Still trying to be a hero in the face of death. Eat another palm of mine. Yang Yuanqing stepped forward and once again slapped at Li Fan with a large handprint. Li Fan coldly snorted as his true qi quickly revolved in his body. The speed of the Star Luo Divine Art's true qi is also twice as fast as the 7 hero fist. For example, if Li Fan was a 1.5L engine before, now he is a 3.0L engine. His true qi instantly reached the position of his palm. Facing Yang Yuanqing's palm, he slapped it. Bang! The ground under their feet cracked and Li Fan's palm emitted a golden red radiance. King Kong. Yang Yuanqing felt as if his power had hit a wall, and this wall even reflected his power back. Li Fan did not move an inch, but Yang Yuanqing himself flew backwards. His feet landed on the ground and he slid for a distance. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He had been injured by his own blood flame palm print. What kind of skill is this? This was the first time Yang Yuanqing had seen such a palm technique. He endured his injuries and questioned Li Fan. None of your business. Li Fan suddenly stepped forward and lashed out with his leg, ruthlessly lashing at Yang Yuanqing's body. Yang Yuanqing raised his sword and barely managed to block it. Clang! Yang Yuanqing's sword was broken, and he himself was sent flying back to the observatory. Die, thief! Chen Junhua grabbed the other sword and aimed it at Yang Yuanqing's neck. Stop! However, Tang Yao stopped this favored child of Mount Hua. Sect leader, this thief went against the flow and damaged the foundation of Mount Hua. Are we still going to let him live? Chen Junhua looked at Yang Yuanqing who was lying on the ground with disheveled hair and could not help but ask the head sect leader. He can be unjust, but I cannot be heartless. Tang Yao sighed lightly, cripple his martial arts and let him go down the mountain. Yes, Chen Junhua nodded. At this moment, Yang Yuansheng, who was lying on the ground, suddenly bounced up and kicked Chen Junhua away. His face was sinister, and his palm print grabbed towards Tang Yao's throat. "You dare!" Wang Runliang suddenly raised his sword and pierced it into Yang Yuansheng's chest. Yang Yuansheng covered the sword, took 2 steps back and slowly fell to the ground. "This way, no one will remember me." "Very good." After saying this, he finally closed his eyes. Big senior brother, Xia Yi, who was kneeling at a distance, seeing this scene, felt a slight pain in her heart. Why? Why did he do this? Xia Yi cried non-stop, while Li Fan stood there, feeling that he could understand Yang Yuansheng. If he can't live a grand life, then die a grand death. Li Fan let out a long sigh. The people of Jianghu each have their own path. Yang Yuansheng was dead, and those Mount Hua disciples who rebelled with him were also defeated by Li Fan. Those who were lucky enough to be alive also surrendered one after another. The sword duel on Mount Hua ended like a farce. The 2 sect leaders of Xianjian and Huangjian saw that the situation was not good and fled in panic. Tang Yao indeed had a Buddha's heart. He did not stop them and let them go. "Young hero Li, thank you so much this time." After a fierce battle, Mount Hua's vitality was greatly damaged, and Tang Yao himself also suffered some injuries. However, he ignored his injuries and kept thanking Li Fan. "If not for young hero Li today, I'm afraid Mount Hua would really be in trouble. I only promised Lil Hua to protect senior sister." Li Fan smiled. "It's nothing, sect leader Tang, you don't have to be so polite with me." Li Fan thought for a moment, then said, "But this time, the devil cult has already infiltrated into Mount Hua. Sect leader Tang should be more careful and clear some of the black sheep out of Mount Hua. Even if they were tortured by the devil cult, I think they were just temporarily bewitched." Tang Yao said, "In Mount Hua, I will strengthen the teaching. True brotherly love and the paragon sword Dao will wake them up. This Tang Yao is really a good person. All right, since that's the case, I should also leave." Li Fan said, "Your sect will probably need to rest for a period of time. I won't disturb you. Stay for 2 more days." Tang Yao patted Li Fan's shoulder. "You were hit by my evil disciple's palm. Young hero should also be injured. Young hero, you should treat Mount Hua as your home. It won't be too late to leave after you have a good rest. Then it would be impolite for me to refuse." Li Fan was indeed injured. It would be good to rest in Mount Hua. It would be good to leave after the injury of the big handprint was completely healed. Good, good, good. Thank you again. I will definitely repay your kindness in the future." The 2 of them chatted for a long time, then Li Fan finally had time to leave the observatory and return to Chen Junhua's small wooden hut. But after staying in the wooden hut for a while, Li Fan heard bursts of crying outside, which drifted into his ears along with the wind, strangely panicking. He jumped out of the bed, walked out of the hut, and followed the crying. Finally, on a hill in the distance, he saw Xia Ho standing under a pine tree, crying non-stop. "Senior sister, do you want some tissues?" Li Fan hesitated for a long time, feeling that the cold wind was strong. If Xia Ho continued to cry, her beautiful face would be frozen. So he walked over, wanting to persuade her. Xia Ho turned around, threw herself into Li Fan's arms, and simply stuck to his chest, wailing loudly. Chapter 426. Xia Yi was an orphan and grew up on Hua Mountain. The sect leader was a busy person and had many things to deal with. Basically, eldest senior brother was the one who brought her up. That year, Xia Yi was 6 and eldest senior brother was 12. In order to stop Xia Yi from crying, eldest senior brother caught a kitten from outside and sent it to her. Looking at eldest senior brother who was covered in scratches, Xia Yi was so frightened that she cried. Xia Yi took good care of the kitten, but in a few days, the kitten sneaked away. Xia Yi cried again. This time around, eldest senior brother scratched his ears and cheeks, not knowing what to do. Xia Yi really loved to cry. Sometimes, she cried so much that she could not sleep. Eldest senior brother would tell her stories. For this, eldest senior brother would steal books from the elder's room and read them to her. One day, he stole a copy of Jean Ping Mei. In the end, he was discovered by the elder and was beaten up. At that time, Xia Yi did not know what love was. One year, Xia Yi was 15 and eldest senior brother was 21. Eldest senior brother asked her if she was willing to marry him in the future. Xia Yi vaguely remembered that her answer was that he was her eldest senior brother and was like an elder brother. How could she talk about marriage? The eldest senior brother was not angry. He only sighed and murmured. If only it wasn't your senior brother. They grew up together but now, they were separated by life and death. Senior sister, don't cry. Your face is all messed up. Li Fan could not help but touch Xia Yi's hair. She was clearly his senior sister but she behaved like a little girl. However, Xia Yi still cried for a long time. In the end, she even used Li Fan's clothes to blow her nose. Senior sister. Li Fan felt very helpless. I'll wash your clothes. Xia Yi sobbed a few times and slowly stopped crying. Why are you so petty? No, no. If senior sister feels unhappy, I'll take off my clothes and blow my nose for you. Go to hell, your clothes are smelly. Xia Yi pushed Li Fan away. You, don't tell anyone about me crying. Just pretend that you didn't see anything. Yes, I didn't see anything just now. Li Fan hurriedly said, but senior sister, you can cry during the day. Don't cry at night. You'll scare people. I hate you. Xia Yi glared at Li Fan. I'm still sad, and you're making me angry. Humph. Senior sister is right. Junior brother is mischievous. I hope senior sister can discipline him. Li Fan cupped his hands towards Xia Yi, coaxing Xia Yi until her tears turned into laughter. So annoying. I'm still sad, why are you teasing me? It's not right to anger you, it's not right to tease you either. I don't want to live anymore. Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xia Ho quickly apologized. Aya, it's my fault. Junior brother, don't say anything about dying. I don't want you to die. I haven't married or had children yet. How can I die? Li Fan chuckled, senior sister, why don't you find a man to date? That way, you won't be so sad. No way. I'll focus on practicing my swordsmanship. Xia Ho pouted and said, I'm not dating. Eldest senior brother said that if I date an outsider, I'll be cheated by the man. At the mention of her eldest senior brother, Xia Ho fell silent. Li Fan suddenly didn't know what to say. There was the sound of the wind, and it seemed especially awkward. When are you going down the mountain? Xia Ho suddenly asked. About a day or two later. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that there was a topic to talk about. Why? Senior sister, are you reluctant to let me go? Screw you. I plan to go down the mountain with you. Xia Ho's words surprised Li Fan. Huh? Li Fan stared at Xia Ho. Senior sister, you want to go down the mountain? Yes, the world on the mountain is too small. Xia Yi nodded. I plan to go out and take a look. I want to know what the outside world is like. Alright. Li Fan muttered in his heart. Xia Ho was already 18 flowers. It wasn't right for her to stay on Mount Hua all the time. But sect leader Tang won't think that I kidnapped you, right? Don't worry. I'll tell the sect leader. Xia Ho seemed to be a little happy again. Then I'll go back and pack up. Then, I'll tell the sect leader about this. This girl was really impatient. Before Li Fan could agree, she turned around and ran away. Damn. At least ask for my opinion first. Li Fan was very depressed. This girl was too torturous. Forget it. They could go down the mountain together. It's fine if we can be companions. Li Fan returned to the house and lay down on the roof. He began to silently circulate his energy to treat his internal injuries bit by bit. That night, Chen Junhua did not return. It seemed that he was dealing with the matters of the sect overnight. After all, such a big thing had happened. He and sect leader Tang would probably be very busy. In addition, sect leader Tang was injured. He should stay there to protect the sect leader. Li Fan also wanted peace and quiet. He wanted to sleep, but he was not sleepy at all. Li Fan was thinking about something. Such a big thing happened on Mount Hua today. Where did Yin Wuchao go? He was also a pugilistic world expert, but he did not come out to help Tang Yao. It was really strange. Could it be that he went down the mountain last night? Li Fan could not figure it out. At that moment, he suddenly heard some movement. Although it was very subtle, it did not escape Li Fan's notice. He sat up silently and looked in the direction of the sound. Li Fan saw a black figure walking toward the buried sword lake. It was so late. A Mount Hua disciple should not have come to the buried sword lake. Who was that person? Mount Hua really could not stop for the past 2 days. Li Fan sighed. Although he did not want to meddle in other people's business, he could not help but be curious and secretly followed. The figure secretly walked to the side of the buried sword lake. The treasured swords in the buried sword lake had been inserted back into the ground. The figure seemed to ignore the sword chi of the treasured swords and walked to the side of a deep well. It was like a dry well, lying alone in the sword pool. If it was any other time, no one would notice this deep well. But unexpectedly, the figure leaped into the deep well. Li Fan was shocked. Fuck, could it be that some Mount Hua disciple committed suicide? He did not dare to hesitate. He used his qinggong and jumped into the dry well. Everything was dark. Even if Li Fan had night vision, it was impossible for him to see anything in a place without light. He could only rely on his senses to guess how deep the well was. After falling for about 50 to 60 meters, Li Fan, who was using his true qi to control his falling speed, finally landed on the ground. A stench came from the bottom of the well. There was also a rotten smell that made people uncomfortable. The person who had jumped into the well had also disappeared. Li Fan took out his phone and turned on the flashlight function. The light illuminated the surroundings. There were some small animal corpses at the bottom of the well, but the black figure from before was nowhere to be seen. Fuck, could it be a ghost? Chapter 427. Li Fan looked into the depths with the help of the weak light from his phone. There seemed to be another world at the bottom of the well. Li Fan followed the direction of the light and walked towards the depths of the well. The black figure from before had already walked into the depths. It seemed that there were some secrets at the bottom of the burial sword lake. Li Fan was also a curious person and liked to take risks. Although he didn't know what was at the bottom of the well, Li Fan's curiosity overcame his rationality. He followed the darkness and slowly walked into the depths. Although the light from the phone was weak, with the help of the light, Li Fan could see the scenery clearly. The surroundings were damp and smelly. It was unknown how many years this place had been rotting and there was no ventilation. If it wasn't for his curiosity, Li Fan might not have walked into such a place in his life. It was such a deep building, and he didn't know if anyone had died in it. After walking for more than 5 minutes, Li Fan finally saw some weak light in front of him. It seemed to be the light emitted by some fluorite. In front of Li Fan, there was a spacious underground space. It felt like there was a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. In front of him was a huge underground lake. The surface of the lake shimmered with a faint light. It reflected the green glow of the fluorite, making it look a little strange. What was even stranger was that the underground lake didn't seem to be very deep. In the middle of the lake, there were many stone coffins. These stone coffins were like guardians, distributed on a small island in the middle of the lake. There was a black stone coffin on the island, and it was unknown which senior of the pugilistic world was inside. To actually set up a tomb here. Li Fan was a little shocked. The black figure didn't notice Li Fan and was inspecting the coffin. "Friend, I'm afraid it's not right to dig up someone's ancestral tomb at night, right?" When the figure heard Li Fan's teasing, he suddenly turned his head in fright. In almost an instant, 3 darts had already arrived in front of Li Fan, aiming to take his life. What a fast dart! Li Fan's 7 heroes' force was still sealed, so he couldn't use the great sage star-plucking technique. However, his Jinqi was like a barrier in front of him. The 3 darts collided with the invisible wall of true qi and bounced off. "Are you from the Tang sect?" Li Fan rubbed his chin and pondered. The black shadow threw out more darts and hit Li Fan in the face. Li Fan, on the other hand, stood there calmly, relying on his own body protecting true qi. All the darts bounced off in front of him, not a single one was able to hit his body. "Looks like it's time for us to talk." Li Fan decided to see who this black shadow was. He opened his arms and jumped down from the high platform like a rock spreading its wings. He landed lightly in front of the black shadow. This was a guy wearing night clothes. When he saw Li Fan landing in front of him, he immediately pulled out 2 daggers from his back and stabbed towards Li Fan. This person's dagger usage was not bad. His attack method was also very crafty. Like a poisonous snake, he stabbed towards Li Fan's waist. But Li Fan slapped away the opponent's arm and at the same time, kicked his lower abdomen, causing him to fall to the ground. Li Fan did not show any mercy. Right now his power was not enough, so he tried to use one move to subdue the opponent. Damn it, the opponent's voice was somewhat familiar. It was immature with a bit of roughness, as if he had heard it before. Li Fan was somewhat surprised, but the opponent had already jumped up from the ground and quickly approached Li Fan from the air. At the same time, his right hand turned scarlet red and slapped towards Li Fan's head. "Blood flame palm print, you are from the devil's sect." Li Fan immediately understood. He moved his body to the side and dodged the palm print. At the same time, he grabbed the opponent's arm and used the opponent's strength to throw him out. Bang! The opponent smashed onto a sarcophagus. The moment Li Fan threw him out, he took off his mask. A familiar face appeared in Li Fan's line of sight. He frowned, looked at the opponent and muttered to himself. "Lu Zhu. Humph. If I let you see my true face, you will not be able to live." "Ayaya, brother Lu, you are really in a good mood." Li Fan could not help but clap his hands. "The last time we parted at Golden Eagle Castle, I still miss you. I did not expect you to not rest at night and come here to dig graves." "Pay. Who dug graves? This is Mount Hua's forbidden area. It is not a circle of graves. This is strange." Li Fan pointed at the surrounding coffins. "Don't tell me these are not filled with dead people. What does it have to do with you? In any case, you are a dead person." Brother Lu's tone is really big. "Do you people from the Devil's Sect have such a special way of talking?" "What Devil's Sect? We are the only me sect." Lu Zhu said proudly, "The moral degeneration of the world is getting worse and people's hearts are in chaos. The only me sect wants to save the common people." "Really good. It sounds like it is quite amazing." Li Fan did not know if it is sarcasm or praise, but it does sound somewhat harsh. "Humph, you are just a common man. You don't understand. I don't blame you." Lu Zhu turned his head away, not wanting to look at Li Fan. That's right. I am a common man, but I defeated you." Li Fan squinted his eyes. "Speaking of which, Lu Zhu, your blood flame palm print is not practiced to perfection. It is not as good as that kid called Yang Yuansheng. He is a martyr for the common people." Lu Zhu sighed. "He will definitely enter the War God Temple." "Bullshit." Li Fan said sarcastically, "It sounds like you are a cult." Common man. I am a common man, but at least I know how to cherish life. Li Fan was very annoyed with these fanatical believers who kept saying they are martyrs. Every life is worth cherishing. After all, you only have one life. Your life is really pitiful. Lu Zhu ridiculed Li Fan. We are dying for a grand ideal. Everything we have to do for it is worth it. Nonsense. Li Fan's face turned cold. I have heard enough of your nonsense. Today, as long as I am here, you can forget about getting any benefits here. He pointed at Lu Zhu. Speak, the last time you searched the Golden Eagle Fort, and today you are here to provoke Huashan's sect. Taking advantage of Huashan's recuperation, you secretly came to Huashan Forbidden Area. Speak, what are you looking for? You want to know, but I don't want to say. Lu Zhu turned her head away proudly. Brother Lu is too heartless. In any case, we are also people who have snatched a wife. Glib tongue. Lu Zhu glared at Li Fan. Why is your mouth so annoying? I will tear your mouth apart. Lu Zhu said, pulled out her dagger, and once again pounced towards Li Fan. Chapter 428. Lu Zhu's speed was very fast. He moved left and right on the ground, as if leaving after images. Although Li Fan's martial arts had not recovered, it was not a problem for him to deal with Lu Zhu. His body flashed, and his foot tripped, causing Lu Zhu to fall to the ground, lying on his stomach in the cold lake water. I told you, you have too many little tricks. Why don't you spend more time honing your basic skills? Damn it! Lu Zhu was obviously choking with anger. He awkwardly crawled up, wiped the lake water off his face, and angrily said, quickly teach me your martial arts. Why? Li Fan was somewhat curious. Why should I teach you my own martial arts? Moreover, we are not friends. If you are willing to teach me martial arts, I will reluctantly make you my friend. Li Fan was very speechless. This was unfair to him. Then let's keep our distance. Li Fan laughed. I would rather be a stranger to you. Damn it, what do I have to do for you to be willing to teach me your martial arts? Why do you want to learn my martial arts? To defeat you. Lu Zhu's straightforwardness made Li Fan very speechless, but he still very frankly said. Brother, if you want to defeat me, you don't need to learn more martial arts. You only need to practice the martial arts that you have learned well, and then you will be able to master them. Don't try to fool me. Lu Zhu rejected Li Fan's kind suggestion. The more martial arts you know, the more powerful you will be. This way, no matter what martial arts you use, I can use other martial arts to counter you. It seems like reasoning with you is not going to work. Li Fan rubbed his temples. Forget it, I'll just capture you and report to sect leader Tang. You can't catch me. Moreover, before I find out the secret here, I will not leave. Lu Zhu's eyes suddenly turned. He felt that it would not be good for him to face Li Fan head-on. He might as well use him. To be able to meet here, it can be considered that we have some fate. I can share this secret with you. Lu Zhu's words made Li Fan vigilant. There was no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Could he be trying to trick him by suddenly sharing a secret with him? Tell me about it. I came here in the middle of the night, including when I was in Golden Eagle Castle, to search for a legendary martial art. Oh. Could it be the Vairocana Heart Sutra of the Undying Evil Buddha? Li Fan crossed his arms and asked. Vairocana Heart Sutra. This is an even more legendary kung fu. It's like a myth, how could it possibly exist? Lu Zhu waves her hand. I'm talking about another divine technique. It's the 9 Buddha Sutra that Lu Jinchan, the Alliance Master of the Heaven Alliance, created back then. 9 Buddha Sutra. When Li Fan heard this name, he was stunned. It seemed like this was the first time he had heard of it. Exactly. Lu Zhu nodded. This 9 Buddha Sutra is divided into 9 chapters. Ever since Lu Jinchan passed away, the 9 Buddha Sutra also fell apart and was divided into 9 parts. I heard that Golden Eagle Castle has a copy, and Mount Hua also has a copy. So, the reason why the Devil sect did not hesitate to wreak havoc in Golden Eagle Castle and caused Mount Hua to fall apart, was all for this 9 Buddha Sutra. Li Fan faintly guessed that the 2 mysterious pages of Star Luo power in his hands were most likely this legendary 9 Buddha Sutra, of course. Lu Zhu nodded. The martial arts recorded on every page of the 9 Buddha Sutra are supreme skills that shock the world. If I were to master one of these skills, I would be able to move unhindered in the world. Li Fan was perturbed in his heart. This was really the case. However, there's another secret regarding the 9 Buddha Sutra. In order to lure Li Fan into the trap, Lu Zhu threw out the things that she knew one by one. In order to prevent outsiders from cultivating the 9 Buddha Sutra, the people of the Heaven Alliance intentionally reversed the meridian circulation method when they were recording it. This matter is only known by the people of my solipsism. If outsiders were to cultivate it rashly, they would probably suffer from qi deviation and explode to death. Cold sweat trickled down Li Fan's forehead. Looking at Lu Zhu's expression, it didn't seem like she was lying. Was the 9 Buddha Sutra really recorded backwards? Then how did he master this divine skill? Could it be related to his divine connecting meridian or pure yang constitution? How dangerous! To think that he could master this. Sure enough, it's better not to touch things that you don't know. I came to look for this page of the 9 Buddha Sutra on Mount Hua. I heard that it was buried together with ancestor Mount Hua in this forbidden area. But you still want to dig up the grave. I'm just making the best use of it. Lu Zhu explained to Li Fan, this 9 Buddha Sutra is the #1 divine skill in the martial arts world. Isn't it a pity to bury it here? He gave a suggestion to Li Fan. How about this, let's find the 9 Buddha Sutra together and study this skill together. What do you think? You've set a trap for me. Li Fan was not stupid. Brother Lu, what are you planning? Why don't you tell me? My strength is not as good as yours. Even if I get the divine skill, I can't possibly master it with just a glance, right? Lu Zhu was a bit impatient. You're a man, why are you dawdling? If you're afraid, I won't force you. Just tie me up and send me to the Mount Hua sect leader. I'll kill you and study this divine skill myself. Isn't that better? Without me, you won't be able to find the divine skill. Lu Zhu pointed at the huge sarcophagus in the center of the lake. If you want to open this sarcophagus, without my help, you definitely won't be able to do it. Interesting. Li Fan stretched out both of his hands and grabbed the gap of the sarcophagus. He used his true energy and tried to open the sarcophagus. But the sarcophagus sank into Mount Hua. No matter how much strength Li Fan used, he still couldn't open it. How about it? Without me, you won't be able to do it. Lu Zhu smiled proudly. You can try. Anyway, I have a knight to accompany you. You want me to cooperate with the Devil sect? Isn't this cheating? Li Fan still couldn't accept this proposal. But he was curious. After all, he had already practiced the 9 Buddha Sutra, but he knew nothing about this martial art. It seemed like this Lu Zhu could fill in some of his blanks. It's solipsism. Lu Zhu emphasized. Then do you want to cooperate or not? Just this once. Li Fan was also very curious about this 9 Buddha Sutra. He wanted Lu Zhu to open this sarcophagus first. A man's words are hard to take back. Lu Zhu was proud in her heart, thinking, I don't believe you won't be fooled. Good. I, Li Fan, will keep my words. Li Fan crossed his arms and took 2 steps back, preparing to watch Lu Zhu's performance. Lu Zhu took out a stone dagger from her sleeve and inserted it into one of the sockets of the sarcophagus. Chapter 429. This dagger has the same function as a key. Lu Zhu inserted the dagger into the hole of the coffin and twisted it. Bang! The lid of the coffin immediately issued a loud noise, followed by a burst of white ash, which fell on the two of them. Li Fan quickly waved his hand, dispersing the white ash. Not knowing how long this coffin has been sealed, the white ash was suffocating. You can open the coffin now. Lu Zhu also patted the dust, coughed twice, and said to Li Fan. All right. Li Fan returned to the front of the coffin, stretched out his hands, and lifted the coffin lid. Although this sarcophagus is heavy, without a lock, for Li Fan, it is nothing. He took a deep breath, the muscles on his arms bulged, and the heavy sarcophagus was lifted by him little by little. Inside the sarcophagus, there is a skeleton. At the moment when the coffin was opened, the body was still lifelike. But with a gust of wind, this person turned into dust and scattered. The only things left in the coffin were a small black wooden box and a shining sword. Sure enough, it's here. Lu Zhu excitedly picked up the wooden box. This contains the 9 Buddha Sutra. But the glue on it will break when it comes in contact with water. With that, Lu Zhu walked to the edge of the underground lake, ready to put the box next to the water. But when Lu Zhu walked to the edge of the lake, he suddenly turned his head and gave Li Fan a smile. Actually, you're really stupid. Li Fan raised his eyebrows, but Lu Zhu's foot stepped on the stone tile next to him, which seems to be a mechanism. A huge iron cage suddenly fell on top of Li Fan's head. Everything happened in a flash. However, Li Fan stretched out his hand towards Lu Zhu and pulled. True Qi covered Lu Zhu's body and instantly pulled her into the iron cage. Ah! Lu Zhu cried out in alarm as the iron cage rumbled, trapping the two of them inside. I knew it, you brat, you're up to no good. Li Fan sat on top of the coffin, playing with the sword. This treasured sword looked a bit like an ancient Han sword. The body of the sword was made of cold steel, and there were unknown beast patterns engraved on it. The scabbard also had a brass beast carving on it. With one look, one could tell that it was not an ordinary item. It was probably the treasured sword used by the Huashan patriarch. Bastard! You big bastard! Lu Zhu cursed angrily, why did you bring me in as well? It's because I'm bored by myself, so we're here to keep each other company. Li Fan was a little annoyed. I forgot to bring a deck of cards. By the way, I have Gamoku on my phone. Shall we play a game? Descend my ass. Lu Zhu gripped the cold railing and trembled with anger. We can't get out now. We can just wait for the people from Mount Hua to come. Li Fan wasn't worried at all. Save your energy and think about how you're going to explain it to the people of Mount Hua. You idiot, Lu Zhu glared at him, I'm not giving you this 9 Buddha Sutra. Brother Lu, since everyone is free, why don't we open it and study it together? You want to see? Yeah, let's see together. I'm not letting you see. Lu Zhu took the wooden box in her hand and shook it in front of Li Fan. Come and snatch it if you have the ability. Let me play with the sword for a while. I have plenty of time anyway. Li Fan wasn't in a hurry. Since everyone was in the cage, Lu Zhu couldn't escape. Bastard! If I can get out, I'll definitely kill you, Lu Zhu clenched her teeth. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from the entrance. Ha ha ha, the heavens are really helping me. A figure floated over. He was wearing a yellow dragon armor and had a sword hanging on his waist. Seeing him, Li Fan and Lu Zhu were stunned for a moment. Yin Wuchao. This old guy, why did he also come in here? I couldn't find you guys, but today you're all here in front of this old man. Yin Wuchao's gaze fell on the box in Lu Zhu's hand. Just nice, the 9 Buddha Sutra is also here, saving this old man the trouble of looking for it. Yin Wuchao, you're a martial arts senior. Aren't you embarrassed to sneak here and steal Mount Hua's secret manual? Lu Zhu questioned directly. There's nothing to say to a devil like you. Yin Wuchao sneered. Today, your life and that secret manual will be left behind. Don't even think about it. You can't come in anyway. Lu Zhu took 2 steps back, keeping a distance from Yin Wuchao. When the people from Mount Hua come, you won't be able to explain yourself. You've really underestimated me. Yin Wuchao said and suddenly pulled out the bright moon saber from his waist. With a flash of the saber, the sturdy iron bars were directly cut in half. Lu Zhu swallowed his saliva and took 2 steps back, standing behind Li Fan. Don't forget. We're still in a cooperative relationship. Li Fan rolled his eyes. This bastard, trying to get close to me at this time. Castle Lord Yin, do as you please. I'm just here to watch the show. Li Fan gestured with both hands, indicating that he wouldn't interfere. You think you can run away? Yin Wuchao looked at Li Fan with red eyes. Li Fan, you snatched this old man's daughter, causing this old man to lose face in the martial arts world. Outside, this old man has scruples about my reputation, so I can't touch you. But here, if I kill you, only the heavens, the earth, you, and I will know. Aya, since it's like this, why don't I leave the 9 Buddha Sutra to you? You can settle the score with him in peace. Lu Zhu hurriedly said, you two take your time to settle the score. I'm going back. Who said you can leave? Yin Wuchao was even more furious. The devil sect killed this old man's prisoner and stole this old man's 9 Buddha Sutra. We still have to settle this score. Hey, don't talk nonsense. Lu Zhu was unhappy. We didn't find anything in that broken place of yours. Cut the crap. You glib-tongued fellows, the 2 of you can stay here and accompany Huashan ancestor. Yin Wuchao held his treasured saber, his hair stood up, obviously the sign of circulating his true qi to the extreme. If it was in normal times, Li Fan would have the confidence to fight Yin Wuchao. But today, his 7 heroes' force was sealed, so he didn't dare to say such words. Little tyrant. Looks like we have to work together for a while. Lu Zhu lowered her voice and said to Li Fan, Yin Wuchao is too strong. If we don't work together, I'm afraid we won't be able to defeat him. All right. Li Fan looked at Lu Zhu with some distrust, but you? What can you do? I learned a unique secret technique. Lu Zhu said, but I need some time to activate it. You just need to help me stall him. Looking at Yin Wuchao who had already stepped forward with his saber, Li Fan hurriedly asked, how long do you want to stall him for? 5 minutes will be enough. Fuck, 5 minutes was way too long for 2 experts who were exchanging blows. 5 seconds, this old man will take your life. Chapter 430. Yin Wuchao is not bragging. He really does have this strength. The old man leaped and appeared in front of Li Fan. At the same time, he slashed with the bright moon saber in his hand. A bright moon seems to appear on the underground lake, illuminating Li Fan's eyes. Li Fan suddenly retreated. His main goal is to stall for time. There is no need to face this old man head-on. At the same time, Lu Zhu also made a move. He jumped up and continuously shuttled back and forth above the sarcophagi, as if he is setting up something. Bright moon illuminates the river. Yin Wuchao suddenly swept his long saber and a huge saber aura swept towards Li Fan. Yin Wuchao's saber aura is definitely not weak. Li Fan grabbed the sword lying in the coffin and used it to block in front of him. Clang! This was truly a treasured sword worthy of its name. After taking on Yin Wuchao's saber aura, the sword is still intact and even split Yin Wuchao's saber aura into 2. 4 elephant sword. Yin Wuchao frowned as he looked at the treasured sword in Li Fan's hand. Li Fan also carefully looked at the treasured sword. There are indeed 4 kinds of sacred beasts engraved on the treasured sword. Little tyrant. After obtaining the 4 elephant sword, you can use the 4 elephant sword chi. Lu Zhu, who was busy on the sarcophagi, hurriedly reminded Li Fan, use the 4 elephant sword chi to force old dog Yin to retreat. Although he does not know what the hell the 4 elephant sword chi is, Li Fan subconsciously injected his true chi into the treasured sword. A gem embedded on the sword edge shone with a faint light. Within the gem, there is a faint image of a tiger's head. Li Fan waved his treasured sword and the illusory sword chi suddenly took form, transforming into a silver tiger that pounced towards Yin Wuchao. Yin Wuchao hurriedly retreated and dodged Li Fan's ferocious sword chi. He is able to use the second stage of the white tiger sword chi. Lu Zhu could not help but be surprised. This little tyrant does have some ability. Li Fan didn't know what the hell the four symbols sword chi was, but it seemed to be quite powerful. The white tiger pounced onto a sarcophagus at the back, smashing it into pieces. It even froze the sarcophagus into ice cubes, scattering them all over the ground. Turning nothingness into reality, this was Murong Ying's unique talent. But now, Li Fan had unleashed it. This only meant one thing: it was the sword of four elephants doing. Patriarch Huashan was supposed to be an awesome person, yet he was buried with this heaven-defying treasured sword. Turning nothingness into reality was one of the three great talents in martial arts. Ordinary people could only dream about it, but right now, he could rely on a treasured sword to obtain it. It was indeed a godly weapon. However, Li Fan did not use his full strength. He poured all of his true chi into the sword, and the vermilion bird pattern lit up on the four symbols gem. Li Fan swung the sword, and a scarlet-red vermilion bird flew out, flapping its wings and charging towards Yin Wuchao. Yin Wuchao was not an ordinary person. With a loud roar, he slashed out 3 times in a row, slicing the vermilion bird into 3 pieces, causing it to dissipate into the air. However, the red sparks burned his skin, causing his anger to rise. Li Fan could not help but be surprised. The miraculous thing about the sword of 4 symbols was that it could actually add attributes to true chi. The white tiger earlier was of the ice attribute, and now the vermilion bird is of the fire attribute. This is too awesome. It's just a treasured sword. How did it do that? Lu Zhu, who was arranging her moves, was also very surprised. Even the vermilion bird was unleashed. It seemed like her evaluation of the little tyrant was too low. The sword of 4 symbols was divided into black tortoise, white tiger, vermilion bird, and azure dragon. Each of them was stronger than the last, and the highest azure dragon sword chi could greatly increase the power of the sword chi. However, the requirement for each type of sword chi to be unleashed was far higher than the previous one. Patriarch Huashan's era still paid more attention to controlling the sword with true chi. Thus, without sufficient inner strength, the might of the treasured sword could not be unleashed. Not only that, the descendants of Huashan felt that if one could obtain victory by relying on sword chi, it would be biased against the sword intent that they pursued. Thus, they buried the treasured sword and the patriarch together in this underground tomb. Sword of 4 symbols, it truly lives up to its name. Yin Wuchao sneered, however, this treasured sword is truly a waste in your hands. Wait for this old man to retrieve it. You are very impudent. Li Fan could not help but roll his eyes. Everything belongs to you. That's right. Yin Wuchao nodded. This old man thinks so. Think your sister, who do you think you are? Li Fan was so angry that he nearly laughed. This is the first time I have seen such a shameless fellow like you. He thought of Yan Kai. Perhaps this is the second time. What do you know? Yin Wuchao scolded. This old man has trained hard and roamed the pugilistic world for dozens of years. Just because I do not have a pure bloodline, I have always been excluded from the mainstream. Why is this old man inferior to those retards? He patted his chest. This old man is at the prime of his life. Wait until I have mastered the 9 Buddha Sutra, then I will become the martial world's sovereign. The martial world's sovereign was different from the martial world's alliance leader. Because of the rules of the Martial World Assembly, a generation's grandmaster cannot participate in the Martial World Assembly's competition. However, there was also a secret competition between the generation's grandmasters. Martial artists are martial artists. To them, there must be a difference between the strong and the weak. Several generations grandmasters, the strongest one is the martial world's sovereign. It is said that the current martial world's sovereign has yet to be chosen. Yin Wuchao was ambitious, he did not want anything else but to be the martial world's sovereign. Murong's villa is nothing, Murong's blog is nothing. After he mastered the 9 Buddha Sutra, he will be the first to flatten Murong's villa. I am sorry, whether it is the 9 Buddha Sutra or the Sword of 4 Symbols, I do not intend to give them to you. Li Fan shrugged, I have never liked to give men gifts. That is not up to you. Bliss Saber. Yin Wuchao said, with a leap of his feet, he quickly appeared in front of Li Fan and swung his saber at Li Fan. Yin Wuchao's desert soul-breaking saber is superior in speed. Now that he has brought out his full strength, even if Li Fan has bullet time, he is actually unable to withstand Yin Wuchao's speed. Li Fan barely dodged, but the front of his shirt has been torn open, there is a shallow saber wound on his chest, his skin was cut open, blood slowly flowed out. You actually dodged this old man's saber, consider yourself lucky. Yin Wuchao laughed sinisterly, while Li Fan swung the Sword of 4 Symbols, throwing out 4 flaming vermilion birds to harass Yin Wuchao. At the same time, he shouted, Damn, can you be a bit faster, this daddy can't take it anymore. It is already very fast, you have to work harder. Lu Zhu shouted, Aren't you the little overlord, bring out the guts of a little overlord. What the fuck, this has nothing to do with guts, okay? Li Fan is afraid that Yin Wuchao will use the Bliss Saber again, that is a fucking bug. Li Fan still had a good chance of winning against ordinary experts at the peak of perfection. But against a peak expert like Yin Wuchao, Li Fan showed his fear. Chapter 431. Yin Wuchao was no fool. He turned around and looked at the busy Lu Zhu with a smirk on his face. Not good. Li Fan frowned. He threw the 4 elephants sword out of his hand. Catch! Lu Zhu was smart. She immediately caught the 4 elephants sword in her hand. On the 4 elephants sword, a black tortoise pattern lit up. Bright moon illuminates the river. Yin Wuchao threw out a white astral saber that looked like a bright moon. A black tortoise also appeared on Lu Zhu's body and blocked Yin Wuchao's sword energy. The black tortoise was the size of the black tortoise and it covered Lu Zhu. However, the sword energy only lasted for a second before it shattered along with Yin Wuchao's astral saber. But with this 4 elephant sword, Lu Zhu more or less had the ability to defend herself. Seeing that Li Fan gave the 4 elephant sword to someone else, Yin Wuchao did not hesitate. He leaped up and appeared in front of Li Fan in the blink of an eye. Bliss Saber. Yin Wuchao used his ultimate technique again. His body was fast, but his saber was even faster. However, since Li Fan threw out the 4 elephants sword, he naturally had an idea. Although Yin Wuchao's saber was fast, Li Fan discovered his weakness. He twisted his arm before he swung his saber. Through this, he could determine the direction of Yin Wuchao's saber. The moment Yin Wuchao lunged at him, Li Fan had already pushed out both of his hands. Vajra. As expected, Yin Wuchao's saber landed on Li Fan's palms. Initially, Yin Wuchao thought that Li Fan's hands would be cut off by him. However, to his surprise, his saber seemed to have hit steel and was knocked away. Furthermore, the force from the saber bounced back, almost causing the bright moon saber to fly out of his hand. What's going on? Yin Wuchao was stunned. Someone actually blocked my bright moon saber, especially the Bliss Saber. How is this possible? Li Fan looked at his hands that were emitting green smoke and was shocked. The defensive power of this move was indeed impeccable. Originally, Li Fan thought that although he could block it, he would inevitably suffer some injuries. However, he did not expect that Li Fan was not injured at all, and he even reflected the opponent's power back to the opponent without any damage. This move was really too strong. This was only one of the moves he had learned. There were still 8 more, and he wondered what they would be like. Li Fan found it hard to imagine just how powerful Lu Jinchan, who created the 9 Buddha Sutra, was. However, what he was practicing shouldn't be called the 9 Buddha Sutra. It was a complete reversal of the flow of time. Li Fan defined it as Star Luo divine skill, and there was nothing wrong with it. After all, it was like creating a brand new universe. Moreover, what shocked Li Fan was that every time he fought with Yin Wuchao, especially when they came into contact, the excess qi that Yin Wuchao emitted would enter his meridians and be absorbed by him. Under the 7 Heroes Force state, Li Fan couldn't do this. Without the dragon toad ingestion of water, he couldn't absorb any qi. But the Star Luo divine skill was different. Every minute and every second, it would naturally absorb the surrounding qi. Sometimes, Li Fan felt that it was a kind of plunder. In this way, his cultivation would increase rapidly. His improvement speed was definitely not something that others could compare to. Moreover, this kind of rapid improvement didn't bring him any side effects. This was what scared Li Fan the most. Although the Star Luo divine skill already belonged to him, Li Fan felt that he still didn't understand it, just like how he couldn't understand all the secrets of the universe. Every page of the mantra could open up an acupoint. If he opened up 9 acupoints, Li Fan didn't know what would happen to him. What kind of skill is this? Yin Wuchao held his bright moon saber and stared at Li Fan. Realization dawned on him, and he suddenly roared. I know. You did this. You did it. Yin Wuchao became hysterical. Wang Sen is dead and the things are gone. This old man thought it was the devil's sect. Now this old man realized that it was not them but you. Not only did you kill Wang Sen, but you also stole his 9 Buddha Sutra. Are you crazy? Li Fan started to play dumb. What are you talking about? Why can't I understand a word? Don't play dumb, you can't fool this old man. What you just used must be a move from the 9 Buddha Sutra. Return it to this old man. From the other party's words, Li Fan could tell that the other party was just guessing. But Lu Zhu, a devil's sect member, would probably be suspicious. But now he couldn't care about this. His Vajra can only defend and has no way to deal heavy damage to Yin Wuchao. Time's up. Li Fan roared while Lu Zhu stood on top of a sarcophagus with many thin threads in his hand. Old dog Yin, eat my move. Lu Zhu pulled the threads and the sarcophagus opened like an automatic door, revealing the corpses inside. The corpses that were already dead now slowly walked out of the sarcophagus and pounced towards Yin Wuchao. Corpse stitching technique. Yin Wuchao was shocked. You even know such a sinister ancient technique. You are indeed the scum of the devil's sect. I can't agree with this point. Lu Zhu laughed. Compared to you, I am more like a good person. The flying corpses have already pounced in front of Yin Wuchao. These corpses are controlled by Lu Zhu using a secret technique. Before these flying corpses were released, Lu Zhu had drugged them with some kind of strange medicine. Their bodies are temporarily like steel, invulnerable. They are all true warriors who do not fear death. They crazily attacked Yin Wuchao. Dang, dang, dang. Yin Wuchao's bright moon saber slashed out moonlight and continuously hacked at the flying corpses. But they were all blocked by their copper skin and iron bones, only creating sparks. Let these flying corpses suppress him. Let's leave quickly. Lu Zhu shouted to Li Fan. Then what about you? My corpse stitching technique can stimulate their muscles and allow them to temporarily move on their own. While controlling the threads in his hands, Lu Zhu shouted to Li Fan, but it won't take long. We will take the opportunity to escape. Once we are outside, that old dog Yin won't dare to do anything to us. At least he won't dare to do anything to you. As a member of the devil's sect, you still have some good points. I hope you will always think so. The two of them looked at each other. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have a tacit understanding. Lu Zhu loosened the threads and used Qinggong with Li Fan. In a blink of an eye, they arrived at the entrance of the cave. Although Yin Wuchao is anxious to kill Li Fan and Lu Zhu, there are too many flying corpses and they are indestructible. For a moment, he was suppressed. This old man. I will definitely not let you off. Chapter 432. Yin Wuchao's roar seems to still be echoing in Li Fan's ears. The two of them finally escape from the bottom of the well. Li Fan takes a deep breath of the outside air. Ah, this is the first time I feel that the outside air is so sweet. Li Fan is very emotional, while Lu Zhu places the wooden box on the ground. You are stronger than me, so I won't snatch the mental cultivation technique from you. But, next time, I will take it back. You are quite smart. As a member of the Devil sect, you have somewhat made me like you. Li Fan reaches out his hand and the wooden box flies from the ground to Li Fan's hand. Humph, don't you also want to monopolize this mental cultivation technique? Lu Zhu curls her lips, hypocritical fellow. Since this is Huashan's own seal, then let Huashan make the decision. Li Fan does not have any thoughts about this mental cultivation technique. He already has 2 pages of the 9 Buddha Sutra, so he can also practice this divine art. Practicing too much might not be beneficial to him. Moreover, the divine art that Li Fan wants to practice the most is his 7 Heroes Force. Star Luo divine art is indeed heaven-defying, but it is, after all, a divine art created by the predecessor Lu Jinchan. In the future, the martial arts world will definitely spread the 7 Heroes Force. This is Li Fan's goal. You actually don't care about this martial art? Lu Zhu looks at Li Fan in front of her in surprise. At the same time, she moves a boulder and presses it against the well to block Yin Wuchao for a period of time. I only want to understand other people's martial arts. Li Fan bluntly tells Lu Zhu, I am different from you. You have learned so many martial arts, but you are not proficient in any of them. As for me, I only want to dabble in the world's martial arts and find a way to strengthen my martial arts. Your martial arts? 7 Heroes Fist. The little tyrant's 7 Heroes Fist has already been heard of in the martial arts world. Your martial arts is not bad, but I think, compared to the 9 Buddha Sutra, it is still lacking. I will make you change your view, and I will also make the world change their view. In any case, I've handed it over to you. You can handle it yourself. Lu Zhu turned to leave, but Li Fan called out to her. Wait, I need to check the mental cultivation method first. Li Fan opened the box, and a gust of mist rushed out. Li Fan choked and felt his body go limp. This is bewitching powder, but there isn't much of it. Lu Zhu winked at Li Fan. You'll faint for a while. Damn it. What are you doing? Li Fan held a sword in his hand and barely managed to stabilize his body. What should be done? Lu Zhu released a firework, which blossomed in the air. I hope Huashan will treat you well, little tyrant. As Lu Zhu spoke, she used her qinggong and disappeared from Li Fan's sight in the blink of an eye. Fuck you, Li Fan cursed, and dozens of Huashan disciples appeared in the surroundings. Even Tang Yao and Qin Junhua were here, looking at Li Fan who was standing in the burial sword pool. Li Fan saw doubt in Qin Junhua's eyes. However, Li Fan did not have the time to explain. He could no longer hold on, and his vision fell into darkness. In Li Fan's dream, he saw a man standing in front of him. This man was only a back view, and in front of him stood countless experts of the pugilistic world. However, he laughed out loud, and at the same time, he repelled all of the experts with a palm strike. Li Fan suddenly woke up. Xia Yi was sitting by his bed, drowsily. A Huashan disciple was guarding by the side. When he saw that Li Fan had woken up, he immediately pulled out his sword and pressed the tip of the sword against Li Fan's neck. Second senior brother. What are you doing? Xia Yi suddenly turned his head and exclaimed. I need to interrogate him. Second senior brother said coldly, he stole the 4 elephants sword and the 9 Buddha Sutra. Although Li Fan had just woken up and his body was a little weak, he had already understood. It seemed that he had been tricked by Lu Zhu in the end. Ha ha ha, Li Fan suddenly laughed. Second senior brother immediately frowned and reprimanded him. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing at all of our stupidity. Li Fan sneered, I'm stupid because I shouldn't have meddled in other people's business, but you're stupid because you believe that a person who was bewitched by the bewitching drug would steal your sword and mental cultivation method. Don't give me that. You're misleading people with lies. I'll cut off your tongue first. Second senior brother was about to swing his sword down, but at this moment, Chen Junhua arrived. He broke the door and knocked second senior brother's sword away. Second senior brother, please have mercy. Do I even have a chance to refuse? Second senior brother was very unhappy. This Chen Junhua was getting more and more arrogant. I'm sorry, second senior brother. I was too impatient. Please forgive me. However, the sect leader has said that Brother Li is not to be killed. Chen Junhua also withdrew his sword and cupped his hands in apology to second senior brother. This person stole the treasures of Mount Hua. There's nothing to say. If we don't kill him, people will think that Mount Hua is a pushover. Senior brother, you've gone too far. Chen Junhua said, we don't know the truth now. We'll only know after we ask Brother Li, that's right. Little junior brother wouldn't do that kind of thing. Xia Hong also nodded, while second senior brother looked at them angrily. Your hearts are no longer with Mount Hua. After saying that, second senior brother pushed the door open and walked out. He's very loyal to Mount Hua. He's just a little impatient. Please don't be angry with him, Brother Li. Chen Junhua looked at Li Fan apologetically. No, why should I be angry? After all, I'm also an idiot. Li Fan blamed himself more than once in his heart. No wonder Muronging always said that he lacked experience. He had suffered a huge loss this time. Little junior brother. Did you really go to the forbidden area? Xia Hong sat by Li Fan's bed and could not help but ask. I went there, but I chased after someone from the fiend cult. Li Fan asked, is there anyone else in the forbidden area? Someone from the fiend cult. Chen Junhua shook his head. There's no trace of them. The people from the fiend cult have long run away. I'm talking about the other one. The other one? Is there anyone else? Chen Junhua trusted Li Fan deeply. Yes, this person is quite famous. I'm afraid you won't believe me. Brother Li, please tell me. Do you still remember how we met? Li Fan's words made Chen Junhua fall silent for a moment. If it's him, it's better not to mention it. Chen Junhua then said, we've never seen him down there, and no one will believe him. I know, so I just want to talk to you and mock my stupidity. The people from the fiend cult are cunning. Brother Li, just kill them the next time you meet them. Chen Junhua said to Li Fan. What are you guys talking about? Why can't I understand a word? Xia Hong felt a little confused. It's nothing. Little junior sister, go and tell master. Brother Li has already woken up, and this matter has nothing to do with Brother Li. Chapter 433. As the saying goes, a fall into the pit, a gain in your wit. Lu Zhu's appearance was a reminder to him. Little junior brother, let's go down the mountain tonight. Xia Yi took out a roll of luggage. Are we leaving now? Li Fan felt a little strange. Logically speaking, his body was weak, so Hua Shan should let him rest. Some elders of Mount Hua are hard to deal with. Xia Yi shrugged. The sect leader is also hard to deal with, so he told us to wait for you to wake up and send you away tonight. That way, those elders won't be able to say anything. How awkward. Li Fan sighed. He still had to sneak down the mountain, but Tang Yao gave him face. However, Tang Yao had given him some face. After all, he had just caused a ruckus in the ancestral graveyard. Even ancestor Mount Hua was reduced to ashes by him. Letting him go down the mountain was the most benevolent thing he could do. Let's go. We'll use the golden kite. It's the fastest way. Golden kite? What's that? Li Fan heard a new term. You'll know when you feel it. I guarantee you'll like it. Xia Yi pulled Li Fan up from the bed. The three of them walked all the way to the observatory and looked down the cliff, at the beautiful scenery that stretched as far as the eye could see. Do you see that town? Xia Yi pointed. Li Fan nodded. There was indeed a beautiful town at the foot of the mountain. I see it. Okay, we'll go there in a while. Xia Yi was a little excited. She had never gone down the mountain before and was very new to everything. Brotherly, this is as far as I can go. Chen Junhua cupped his hands at Li Fan. No matter what happens to Brotherly in the future, as long as you tell me, I'll definitely come and help. Okay. Li Fan nodded. He was still curious about how to go down. Meanwhile, Xia Ho had already dragged over a huge kite with a golden kite in the shape of a kite out of nowhere. Fuck. Don't tell me I have to sit on this. That's right. Xia Yi smiled and promised Li Fan, I will definitely protect you. I'm a man. I don't need a woman to protect me, right? Li Fan was very unhappy. When did he fall to this point? Although I'm a little weak, it's not that bad. He said proudly, even if I don't use this kite, I can get to the town safely by myself. Alright. Junior brother is the best. But for now, it's better to be safe. Sect leader told me to be careful when I'm outside, so it's better to be cautious. Xia Ho's words made Li Fan feel very ashamed. He cursed himself for being careless about something that even a little girl knew. The next time I see Lu Zhu, I will hang him up and give him a good beating. Little junior brother, let me help you tie it up first. Xia Yi was like a good wife and mother who liked to take care of people. She carefully arranged the rope for Li Fan and tied him to the huge golden kite. Xia Yi also tied herself to it. The two of them were very close to each other. It was as if they could kiss each other if they turned their heads. Use your qigong and make yourself as light as a feather. Then, just follow the kite. Xia Yi said as she pushed off the ground. The two of them immediately slid down the mountain. The kite carried the two of them very well. With the help of the wind, the two of them were lifted up and fell down the mountain stream towards the small town. This made Li Fan feel like he was riding the wind. The pleasure was much more comfortable than using qigong. The sun just rose from the east. The sunlight shone on the two of them. Li Fan really had an illusion that he was riding on the clouds. It was too comfortable. Li Fan took a deep breath while Xia Yi smiled happily at the side. How is it, junior brother? Are you very happy? Xia Yi's laughter was like a silver bell, leaving traces of youth in the air. It's not bad. But, senior sister, aren't you worried that Huashan's 4-elephant sword is lost? It's not my turn to worry about these things. Xia Yi did not look worried at all. I'll let the sect leader and the rest worry about these things. I just came down the mountain. I still want to enjoy this beautiful new life. The foot of the mountain might not be better than Huashan. But it's still bigger than Huashan, right? That's true. Sometimes, Xia Yi's words were quite philosophical, leaving Li Fan speechless. Not long after, the two of them landed at the foot of the mountain. While Li Fan was unconscious, Muronging also left home. The ancient Luoma Road was a very special road that existed in Huaxia. The ancient Luoma Road preserved the most ancient traditions. There were ancient buildings on both sides of the road. The ancient Luoma Road ran from north to south. It belonged to the entire martial arts world. To outsiders, it belonged to the Tourism Bureau. Many tourists liked to go to the ancient Luoma Road to enjoy the ancient scenery. They could take photos or stay in the inns there, even if it was expensive. At this moment, Muronging was riding on the ancient Luoma Road with a few guards at home, followed by a young disciple of the Wudang Mountain. They were heading to the Wudang Mountain. Let's stay here for now. It was getting late. Muronging pulled on the reins of her horse as she gazed at an inn next to her. All right, it's been hard on you, Alliance Master Murong. The disciple of the Wudang Mountain got off his horse and bowed to Muronging respectfully. It's my duty to fight against the cult. Muronging waved her hand and then walked into the inn. Recently, the cult had been causing a huge commotion and had already disrupted the entire martial arts world. The Golden Eagle Castle and Huashan were nothing. It was said that Li Wei, the leader of the cult, had even sent an invitation to the Wudang Mountain, saying that he wanted to visit them today. Although the Wudang Mountain and Shaolin Temple were still the top sects in the martial arts world, the sect leader of the Wudang Mountain still informed Muronging about it. After all, the Wudang Mountain and Shaolin Temple were considered Murongying's right-hand men, and they had given the greatest support to Muronging. There was also a small restaurant on the first floor of the inn, where there were a few people from the martial arts world and some tourists who were dressed fashionably. The tourists would not suspect that they were from the martial arts world. At most, they would think that they were actors hired by the ancient Luoma Road. Just like how the Americans enjoyed their own Disneyland theme park, the ancient Luoma Road was also the largest theme park in China. Not only domestic tourists, but also foreign tourists would come here to enjoy the fun brought by this long ancient road. After booking a room, Muronging sat in front of a table. Two guards stood beside Muronging, while the disciple of the Wudang Mountain was invited to sit opposite Muronging. The cult leader has really hit a brick wall this time. The disciple of the Wudang Mountain seemed to be a little excited. It's not just Alliance Master Murong, even the abbot of Shaolin Temple is here this time. I think Li Wei is going to be in deep trouble. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.